All right, so we had a few of the viewers in the Twitch chat saying some pretty rude things about how they're never on time anyway, so they're probably not going to be on time tonight because people were apparently counting down to when we were going to start our live stream, and they were like, "Oh, well, they won't be on." Yo, we're on time tonight. It happens to be 9 o'clock. Well, hold on. This computer says 9:01.
This computer says 9 a.m.
9 a.m. Did you set that? Because you just reformatted. It was probably you. You probably entered that.
I'm just gonna.
I mean, no wonder you weren't sleeping.
There we go. Yeah, that was it. Yep, I'm blaming it on that. 100%.
Yeah, that's probably why you didn't sleep
It
last
wasn't
night.
StarCraft.
Yeah, it wasn't StarCraft, and it wasn't the forum.
It wasn't before.
No. For those of you who don't know what's been going on the forum, really exciting stuff. We launched a contest where you have a chance to win one of two 3960X processors. Comes with a Gigabyte X79 UD3 motherboard. So normally with contests like that,
We're good. Keep going.
it's good.
I'm monitoring.
That
I'm
one's
monitoring
fine.
right now.
Good work. Okay. So normally with contests like that, there's lots of terms and conditions and rules and regulations, but we're just making it like
Post the stuff and win some awesome stuff.
YouTube rules, which is like very unofficial. So basically, if you get drawn, then you'll win, and we'll just eat the shipping and send it to you. So guys, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you go to the Linus news, videos, and rambling section of linustechtips.com and make sure you sign up because it's awesome. All you have to do is post in the thread to qualify, and it's going to take a long time to go through all those entries. Like,
Yay, Excel.
yeah, exactly. We're boned, but we have to find out how many entries each person has.
Well, okay.
Can you dump from the server and make it into something that we can somehow easily?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, it's going to be a nightmare. So that's okay.
That'll be like.
We'll make Diesel help us. We'll get my wife to help us. We'll just go through it. So you can get more entries by not only posting in the thread, but also by sharing the contest around the internets and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm just going to make sure that the YouTube announcement actually went up, and it looks like I did manage to do that. Hey, like a boss. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with some Twitter Q&A. Let's kick things off with that. Of course, the big exciting thing happening this week is
PAX East. I was like, what? I've been monitoring.
No, I got new
as well.
shoes.
That is probably the least exciting thing that I've ever heard.
I actually lied. I didn't
Actually,
get new
no, that
shoes.
is kind of exciting because then you wouldn't be wearing socks and sandals.
I am not actually wearing socks and sandals right now, though. I am wearing my boots. So it's like socks and sandals in the winter boots in the summer. Yeah.
Because we finally had like a good weather day here.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
We filmed our first outside video in quite a while.
Yeah, we did an outdoor unboxing today that also kind of turned into a bit of an adventure.
Do you have the...
I'm going to go grab it, but you might as well start talking about what we did.
Okay, I'm going to stop monitoring because hearing everything that we're both saying about 1 to 2 seconds later is really confusing. So I'm just going to stop doing that. We got an OtterBox Armor. I think it's called Armor. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's huge. Now my laptop is playing it through the speakers. That is not helpful, laptop. Okay, so we got an OtterBox. I think it's called Armor. It's massive and huge and has a cover the screen and all this kind of stuff. It's supposed to work underwater for about 30 minutes. I don't remember the depth. And it's just huge and chunky, so it's supposed to be like crush resistant and all this kind of stuff. So Linus threw it up in the air as high as he possibly could. He threw it at a tree. He threw it at a rock. He threw it into a pond at which it hit a rock, but it hit water first, so it wasn't going that fast. And then we kicked it like pretty far, all the way back to where the car was, which isn't like a parking lot away. It was like a few parking lots and a street away. So it went through absolute hell. And for like scratches on the phone, it was okay. Although we did the submerge test underwater after he threw it all the way up in the air. And on one side, the hinges are a little bit funky. So it was a little bit separated, so water did get through. But we're thinking if we didn't totally screw it up by throwing it way up in the air, like 2 stories up, before doing the underwater test, that it might have actually been okay. He's going to bring it in. I don't know why it's taking so long, but he's coming. there's two gigantic metal hinges on the one side that latch on, and they're pretty hard to take off, but they latch on really, really tight. And the idea of the phone is that because it's water resistant, it latches on with an O-ring in between. So it seals, so water shouldn't get in. But then the other side is just kind of teeth. So you slot it in like that, and then it goes down, and then this side clamps down. If both sides had the clamps, like...
Yeah, here we go. So here, I'm going to go ahead and hold this up to the camera. So here's the metal clamps that Slick's presumably talking about. And they're actually like super rugged.
They're pretty beast.
Yeah, you actually just... Ah, man, those are hard to get off, actually. Here's a fork. All right, so I need like something to pry it off. I did manage to get it off with my fingers before. But it was kind of tricky. So you loosen it there. There we go. So you pull it off there, and then the backing, these unclip, just like that, and then you pull the whole thing apart. So inside there's a cushion, and so these guys right here, there's little notches built into the plastic of this side, all down there, and then there are plastic little, I want to give you guys an angle that you can actually see. So there's little plastic pieces that go there. So you take the whole thing, and then you slide it in with the plastic things, push it down, and then latch it, which engages the O-ring seal. I want to give you guys some idea of what we actually did to this thing, because it is pretty beat up. Like, it's absolutely brutal. So, did you tell them all the stress tests?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We threw it at a rock, we threw it at a tree, we threw it 2 stories up in the air, we kicked it a couple parking lots and a street across, and then we submerged it at some point.
Yeah, so we had actually submerged it while we already knew that it wasn't quite working. And I brought my iPhone down here, but yeah, here it is. So there may be an issue with my earphone speaker, but the phone actually is functional. The screen didn't crack. It did survive the abuse. So that to me is a positive indicator. While the case is no longer waterproof, unfortunately, and all that good stuff, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, buying a new case because my case is destroyed versus buying a new phone because my phone was destroyed.
And that was like 10 times the damage that I would have a phone go through in like 5 years. Within the time span of an hour.
Like when I was kicking it, I was intentionally kicking it like into curbs and stuff, so that like I wasn't even trying to just kick it along the ground.
He was kicking it into the most possibly damaging things he could.
Yeah.
And he was trying to kick it hard and like going over rocks and...
I like how you say I was trying to kick it hard.
He was trying.
I kicked it hard.
He was trying to kick it hard.
Yeah, whatever, man.
You're kicking it with a sandal. You were like, oh, I can't hit my toe. He's trying to kick it hard.
Whatever, man. I think the point that we're trying, we should have done the water test first, probably.
Yeah.
And then my phone speaker would work. But I'm gonna do the rice trick. So you put it in a bag of rice and put it somewhere warm, and the water makes its way out. And I've actually seen phones that were malfunctioning rescued from that quite a few times in the past. So yeah, I mean, we'll give you another update next time we know more. Part of the reason we did this, I don't know if you told them this, but I am starting my Android. Where's my HTC?
I don't know, man. I don't know where your phone is.
Where the devil is the... Okay, well, whatever. The HTC One phone that I am switching to, I've officially put my SIM in now. So I'm done with the iPhone for at least 30 days and probably for good. I've already spent a little bit of time setting up some apps and getting some cool stuff going on with it, and it's getting it customized the way I like it. And it looks like... I don't necessarily... Okay, I know where you're about to go with this. And I don't necessarily agree that Android is inherently superior in some way. But
he's got a month.
The iPhone 4 is extremely, extremely long in the tooth in terms of the speed of the hardware. And I think a big part of that is brought about by the whole concept of forced obsolescence. So, okay, here, I'll show you guys a live demo of what I think is probably the most ridiculous thing about this phone.
Careful when you move too far forward. People were complaining about the volume.
So I'm gonna fire up a text message here that I'm gonna send to that guy that works for that company that I founded once. QRS. So when I first got this phone, it was extremely snappy. And I understand that some of the new apps and new functionality that get enabled are not necessarily going to run 100% on the older hardware.
But when it's a messaging app,
I get that, okay? But this is my SMS messaging app. And I apologize, but I'm going to have to move away from the mic to do this demo. So check this out, guys. Check out the delay on this. Can they see?
are you on manual focus? No, you're not. Okay.
Well, whatever. So it picks this time to not lag, but you guys will just have to trust me on it.
I've seen it.
With-
If that helps at all, I've seen him typing, and he types a few letters and gets
Like-
gets a word or two in, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm gonna decide to catch up now.
It feels like typing on like, a Pentium 1 and like typing really quickly in like Word 2010. Like it's just inexcusable for a 3-year-old piece of hardware to struggle with text input. And I mean, things like the YouTube desktop site are terrible on almost any mobile device. And I actually can't quite figure out why that is. But on the iPhone 4, it used to be I could kind of use it and I could reply to like one comment that I saw that I really had to reply to before bed. Now, I can't do anything. Nothing at all. So that's incredibly frustrating. So the faster hardware is definitely a huge boon, and I'm really excited to spend some more time with it because, man, it's fast.
And the one's just kind of beast. Like the
Yeah.
screen is just insane. 441 PPI was it?
I think so, something stupid
Just
like that.
insane.
So it's a 4.7-inch screen compared to the Samsung Galaxy S4's 5-inch screen, but they're running at the same resolution. So it's actually the highest pixel per inch screen out there, which actually leads us into our next discussion point, which is that HTC One might be delayed again.
Yeah, because okay, so HTC lost their tier 1 customer status
With their suppliers.
with their suppliers.
So for like cameras and like screens, and so maybe not all of their suppliers, but at least one of their suppliers.
Notably their cameras. So they might not be able to hit their launch, they might not be able to release as many as they wanted to, etc., etc., etc.
And this is all coming off of the news that HTC's CEO announced that if the One was a failure, like he had already announced this before the camera fiasco started, if it was a failure, he was just going to step down and call it a day.
So despite the One being incredibly awesome and getting really, really, really good reviews so far,
Yeah, everywhere.
everywhere. Like check out the Anantec. Sorry about that clap if that was too loud. Check out the Anantec S4. Is it S4 versus
I think
One?
it's
or
the
is it
S4 review, where
Okay.
they basically, I think the intro had at least 3 like brutal shots that Anantec took at the S4.
Yeah, so check out the S4 review and then do like a control F for One, because you'll see them mention One, and every single time they're like the S4 is not good or falls behind in this aspect, but then the One,
Yeah.
it's like they use it as the scapegoat to like go and talk about something awesome for a moment.
Yeah, it was actually brutal. Like I've rarely seen them not like you have to. This is the thing about any tech publication is you gotta understand where their paychecks come from. So someone like Anantec, like it's not like they're getting paid by like Tim Hortons, or okay, for those who aren't Canadian, it's not like they're getting money from McDonald's, like. They don't do food reviews, and if they did do food reviews, McDonald's would be crazy to advertise with them because they couldn't possibly say anything positive about it. No offense to anyone who works for McDonald's, but Anantec realistically takes money from Intel, Microsoft, AMD, Nvidia, blah 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 blah. The list goes on. So it's not like you have to read between the lines a little bit. It's not what they say, but what they don't say a lot of the time, or what they could have said. But actually
They edged around or whatever.
made their way around and kind of like when a major site like a Tom's Hardware or whatever else says, "Oh, we were slightly disappointed by this," that means like we expected more. This was like not good. So, yeah. Anyway, there you go. There's a little lesson on reading between the lines because. I mean, there's a fine line between making sure that you are informing people about what they need to know about the product and making sure that you're not just, trashing things and destroying people's livelihoods because there was something about it that you didn't particularly like. You know, like I could say, this case is the worst thing ever, and it may just be my opinion. Maybe I don't think the aesthetic's perfect. If you guys are regular viewers, you know I like metal cases. But that doesn't mean that a plastic case is bad. It just means that I personally wouldn't buy one for my own personal system.
And if you harp too hard on something, what if you got a defective unit?
And that's another thing too. That's actually happened to me.
Yep.
Where I was like, oh yeah, no, it was a terrible experience. And then it turned out that there was actually something wrong with it. And defective units happen to everyone. I mean, it kind of drives me crazy. You go on like Newegg or Amazon or NCIX or anywhere, and there's
1-star review. Oh, it showed up and it didn't work.
And the best part is when people leave a review of a retailer. Oh, I bought my stuff from Tiger Direct and it arrived broken. They suck.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, okay. So there's two ways that a retailer can go about this. They can either open every single one and test them, in which case,
It was open.
Or they can keep it sealed and you might get a dead one.
Yeah. The only place that would possibly be applicable was if you're ordering from the manufacturer's website, because other than that, they're just receiving it and then selling it to you.
Yes.
Like, yeah. They don't have any intervention in that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, be an educated consumer. Make sure that you're putting the blame where it's appropriate, and be an educated consumer. That's the lesson from that last. Why does the Twitch app for iPad not be very good? I want to watch the Linus Tech live stream. Oh, Dylan, we're sorry to hear that, man. I wish you were here. What happened with the awesome Corsair video for Tech Quickie? It's coming eventually. We're waiting on a software update for that product because we talk about the software update in our video. So we can't release the video until it's available. This is how Apple makes their money? Yeah, of course. That's how anyone makes their money.
Yeah. Planned obsolescence is kind of everywhere.
Okay, for all of the complaints I have about my iPhone 4, remember, everybody's favorite golden child right now, Samsung. My wife's Samsung Galaxy 1 is a piece of crap now compared to how well this one has held up. It's incredibly scuffed up. It was not very durable. The battery life went like, yeah. And in addition to all of that, it never got software updates to the newer OSs. It's still running Gingerbread, which from the perspective of someone who bought a well-supported device, I look at that and I go, that's totally unacceptable. Like, yeah, that's not going to make it so I never buy a Samsung portable device again. But
this is totally not Samsung, but my Nexus S got updates all the time.
I'm not going to forget about that either. And that goes for Samsung or any other company. So it's one thing to deliver me a software update that gives me all the functionality but maybe slows down my device. Okay, you know, I'm still not happy, but okay. But if you don't give me the software update at all, and then my device is slow, and I'm just kind of sitting here going, really? Seriously? Like, I haven't forgotten this. Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead, sell your S4s, but not everyone upgrades their phone every year. And if you don't, then that kind of longer-term support does mean something. So
I love my S3. It's right here. But realistically, I got it out of warranty. My Nexus S was like my favorite phone I've ever had because that thing was a brick and lasted through everything.
I think you mean like a beast because brick implies that it...
Yeah, beast because it just wouldn't die. It died because of me. It didn't die because, like, I killed the phone by accident. It didn't die because... it sucked. And then it was on freaking Jelly Bean when I moved away from it. Supported Jelly Bean. It wasn't on, like, I did something to it and gave it Jelly Bean. Like, that's awesome. And then, I don't know. Like I said, I like my S3, but I'm just worried that in the future, I might still be running the exact same operating system I am now, because that's exactly what happened to Linus's wife's phone.
Andrew suggests that I do an iSwitched iPhone 5. Probably not necessary, because I'm pretty familiar with iOS at this point. We don't like to talk about Slick's condition.
What?
He's really sad.
I'm sick.
Sad.
I'm sick right now. If you hear me coughing, if my voice sounds different, if I'm sniffling, if I'm sneezing.
He seems like he has a rough exterior, but actually he's basically like a 4-year-old girl inside.
What? Oh.
Blah, blah, blah. Lots of motherboards, good for overclocking. Yeah, we're on time. How does the armor compare to the LifeProof? I would love to check out the LifeProof. If anyone knows anyone who works at LifeProof, get them to give me a ring, and we'll destroy their case too. I'm not sure how impressed OtterBox is going to be with our overview of the armor, given that we actually destroyed it.
It's legitimately broken.
Yeah, we broke it. So yeah. I wish there was a water block for the X79 Sabertooth. Yeah, it's a shame having little fans and otherwise awesome motherboards. What are your thoughts on custom motherboard covers? Building them. Materials, aesthetics, thermal properties. Well, aesthetics are fine. If you really want the aesthetic, grab a Sabertooth, speaking of the Sabertooth. Materials-wise, just be careful. Make sure it's not something that's going to be a static issue. As for thermal properties, it will make your thermals worse. So just be aware of that. That's all. I mean, probably not the end of the world. And no new pants. I'm still wearing the same pants that I always wear. So there you go. You probably have some like PAX topics or something you want to talk about, right?
I've got
There's like
tons
some
of
expo
stuff.
or something that
You probably wouldn't know because you don't even like video games.
I like video games.
Okay, you don't play video games.
I play video games.
I
I played more Jetpack Joyride than you. I have way better in-game items, and I didn't pay for any of them.
You've been playing for way longer.
That's true, but like I actually built them up pretty fast. I was playing it a lot for a bit.
Okay, so he saw me playing a game yesterday and watched, I think it was yesterday, watched for a little bit, then was like, oh, I forget what it's like to play games. Just like, wow, okay. Anyways.
I actually hadn't heard of the Massively Multiplayer BA, MMBA, is that what it's called?
MOBA.
MOBA?
MOBA.
Massively Online Battle Arena or something, right? Or
I don't know if it's
multiplayer online?
Pretty sure it's
multiplayer
multiplayer.
online, whatever it is, MOBA. I actually hadn't heard of that terminology until we unboxed the Razer Naga Hex. And I was like, oh, what's a MOBA? It's like, oh, I felt like an old person. That's what having a baby does to you.
Maybe you are an old person. Maybe I'm soft on the inside and you're old and decrepit. I'm gonna move on before I get fired.
My gaming rig's almost done now. I just have to solder together that extension cable.
The reservoir's like slightly hanging
I
out.
have to figure out how I'm gonna. Okay, I have to figure out how I'm gonna deal with the heat output of a 10 gig Ethernet card, an amped sound card, so I have a Zonar Zents in there, and a high-end LSI RAID card, all next to each other, which is the only place I can put them. Also, I need a replacement for the 10 gig cable going to my computer. So Diesel gets 10 gig, the server gets 10 gig, and my personal rig actually isn't even properly running off of it yet. So there's passive cables and active cables for direct attached copper. So I have a passive 7-meter cable, which is like borderline, and there's a lot of CRC errors.
And this is like, we've already had problems because of how borderline and crazy this is. And now we have another problem, which isn't like, oh my God, they're bad cables. It's just like, this is kind of ridiculous technology.
Well, they said it has to do with the transmission power of the switch as well. But I mean, you can't blame the switch because
there's,
like 10 gig, 7-meter, it's just...
When you put together multiple bleeding edge ridiculous technologies, there's often problems.
Yeah, sometimes you bleed.
Okay, quickly before I go into PAX East announcements, I want to bring up the folding team before I forget this, because I would have probably forgotten this if I didn't just glance out of my screen and see that. Whaler, who's running the folding team.
Whaler 99 specifically,
Whaler
not
99.
any of the other 98 Whalers. Or the Hartford Whalers.
He is going to be... he is going to be running...
Hockey joke!
He's going to be running a contest where... Okay, I'm going to forget some of the details, but he's going to post it on the forum. So check out the forum, check out the folding section. Generally, some of this might be wrong, but new members that have only been on the folding team for a certain amount of time, if the best new member is going to win this contest, and if you win the contest, he's going to dedicate one of his best folding machines to your account for a week. So it'll help just boost your score up.
Cool.
So if you're a new member and you're trying really hard, for a week, you'll get one of his machines, so you'll just skyrocket in the team.
And his are really beast.
his are pretty freaking beast.
Yeah, it's like kind of ridiculous.
So that's cool.
Respect, man.
Come check out the folding team. Come join if you want to help. If you do really well, you'll get help from Whaler as well. And if you're not into folding, there's also Boink, which Liquidus runs. So you can check that out. That's cool. I'm going to move on to PAX East now. I just wanted to cover that before I forgot.
Actually, okay, sorry. I'm going to start with a word from our sponsors about PAX East. So first of all, Intel's got a huge presence at PAX East. They've got their booth. They've got their new VIP Tech Zone app, which you guys should definitely check out. Probably the best place to find all the information about what Intel's doing at PAX East is on the Linus Tech Tips forum in our Core i7 Extreme Edition and Gigabyte X79 motherboard giveaway thread. So just check this thread out. So here we go, sponsor messages. So they've got their VIP Tech Zone smartphone app. It's available for Android and iOS where you can get news, special promotions, and some exclusive giveaways. Also, if you follow @IntelEdge on Twitter and tweet them your favorite game with the hashtag #IntelInspires, you'll be entered to win a Lenovo U410 Ultrabook. And oh, for crying out loud, the link thing here is broken again. I swear. And all these images are broken now too. What's going on here? That's not good. Oh, apparently my sign-in expired. Okay, well, that might have something to do with it.
Sign in and then things will fix.
Okay, okay, and finally, of course, there is the giveaway on our forum itself where you just have to post in this thread, which has 313 pages now, which is kind of ridiculous. And we're giving away the two 3960Xs as well as the, here we go, back to us, as well as the matching Gigabyte X79 boards to go with them. So guys, check out the Intel booth, go say hi, learn about Ultrabooks. And of course, this time I'm gonna, this time I'm gonna do this properly, but we have to put in our sponsored ad here, so stay tuned. We'll be back in 20 seconds. This video is brought to you by our trusted partner, Intel. For a limited time only, with the purchase of any unlocked Core i5 or Core i7 Intel CPU, get a free Intel beanie with a chance to win an Intel snowboard. Valid for Canadian and US customers only. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, visit intelgamingpromo.com. Yeah, I stretched it while it was playing. Slick's like, oh, hey, you got a little black bar on the on the edge there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, hold on, let me take care of that. So either way, I think that was a lot more graceful than what we did last time, so.
I think that's the first time it's ever been graceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still had the black bar. Next time we won't have a black bar.
So every single time it will get slightly better until
Yeah.
it's acceptable.
And we're also, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but we're reducing the length of our pre-roll ads. So that one was almost 20 seconds long. All the stuff we're putting in now is closer to 5 to 10 seconds. So yeah, we've got...
The main constructive criticisms that we got was that it was too long.
Yeah.
So we tried to address that.
So we're getting that fixed. Okay, carry on.
Okay,
PAX East. So
so-
sorry for clapping. I always forget that it's loud for you guys.
The main two announcement type things that I've seen from PAX East. So this isn't like I watched a gameplay video and I have feedback on it or anything like this. I haven't had much time because it started today and I worked today. So I don't know. Next live stream, I'll probably have like all the PAX East coverage, so that'll help.
He does all this complaining, but I already told him I'm going to take him to PAX Prime.
I'm not even going to get into that. But, okay, so the only two like big new game announcement level things that I have seen so far, there might be more than this, is Capcom is releasing a remastering of DuckTales.
Seriously?
Yep.
That would actually be kind of freaking awesome.
Actually pretty exciting. I'm pretty stoked into that. It is going to be available on Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, and Wii U. So, no fun time for us.
Oh.
But
Oh.
still cool, I guess.
Okay. I have an Xbox
Still
and a
kinda
PS3.
cool.
I don't know where they are. Isn't one of them in your room?
I have the PlayStation 3 because I was playing around with Dust 514.
Okay.
It's, yeah, I don't know. I put it back in the box pretty quick. I
Gotcha.
can't handle the controllers. I'm sorry. I have really big hands. When I play with like stock DualShock controllers, I'm just like, what is this thing? It's really small. Anyways, also Blizzard announced Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft, which is a trading card game. I thought, first of all, Blizzard already ran a trading card game. for one. And for two, I wonder if they actually think they're going to be able to compete with stuff like Magic.
Well, they're Blizzard, so
So people will buy it.
yeah.
But I don't think there's going to be like the Magic tournaments and like all the huge stuff that's already around for card games.
I think probably like if they really wanted to give Magic a run for their money, what they would do is they would incorporate it into Warcraft universe, or probably Warcraft universe would be the one that would make sense. But
Yeah, Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft.
I missed that part.
Yeah.
I heard Hearthstone Heroes and then I was kind of tuned out.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Hearthstone
okay.
Heroes of Warcraft.
I mean, if it has Warcraft branding wrapped around it,
in the video, I saw stuff like Hellscream, I saw Thrall, I saw like
Okay.
a lot of big guys, but there was also smaller people. So I'm assuming there will be like hero level cards.
I'm all about Ilaria. Yeah, she's hardcore.
Yeah.
She's like beast. You can take down Deathwing with just Ilaria if you are like pretty conservative and you run back and forth. So.
See, most people, because Deathwing's in the World of Warcraft now.
Oh really?
So most people are gonna be like, nah,
Oh.
what are you talking about?
No, I'm talking Warcraft 2.
You can't solo Deathwing. That's not possible.
You know, it was
Warcraft
so
2.
annoying. Why were Kieran and Skiri, or whatever their names were, the Griffin Rider hero in Warcraft 2, why was he so crap compared to Deathwing? Like, they weren't even remotely balanced.
A lot of stuff wasn't balanced though.
Warcraft 2 was a balanced game. It wasn't like StarCraft.
But like,
But it,
no.
well, no, I mean...
Them's fighting words
No,
for some people.
I mean directly balanced, equivalent units. A grunt was the same as a footman.
Right.
But then all of a sudden they were like, oh, heroes,
Mer.
and they're different. I mean, it was only single player.
And it's hard to balance things.
yeah, but it's still, come on. I mean, he was so cool. He was like, ah, hi, laddie.
I loved that description. He was so cool. He was like, ah.
Well, that's what he said.
I know, but then you just completely stopped.
Whatever.
I have more gaming stuff, but
Yeah,
not
let's hear it.
directly PAX East. So we can actually move on to something else. I can cover that later.
That was it? That was all you had for PAX East?
For PAX East, I expected more launch stuff, but I think people
It's
are
day
waiting.
one. It's still a weekday.
It's day one
Yeah.
for one.
Weekday.
Yeah,
Weekday
it's
one.
weekday day one, so there might be more coming. I'll try and post stuff in the gaming section of the forum as it kind of comes live. So I'll post like bigger information about the 2 announcements that I just did with more details, and I'm just going to post more stuff there in general, as well as updates over the weekend. But I'm also expecting people are holding their cards for E3 and PAX Prime.
Okay.
So I'm expecting bigger announcements for E3 and PAX Prime. So that, I don't know. Because PAX East is pretty big, but it's not E3 and it's not PAX Prime.
I would love to go to E3. I'm still trying to make that happen for us. We did CES, and the feedback was really good on the coverage that we did for CES. So, so the one that I was targeting, because I mean, we talked about PAX East, but I thought it was going to be too soon, just in terms of like getting our stuff together and getting into a bit of a routine with the new company. But I think E3 might be doable, and pretty much like 95% will be doing PAX Prime. So it's going to be exciting.
Hopefully make it to E3. That'd be pretty cool. There's been a lot of people asking for more gaming stuff from us.
Yep.
And we are trying to expand. It's just interesting trying to feel it out and figure out what angles we want to take on things and how we want to make our own unique approach to the situation. So
Yeah.
we are trying. It's just interesting.
It's always going to be a hardware angle from us, to be perfectly honest. Like, we're never going to be those guys that are all like, holy crap, there's this mod coming for this game from this indie developer. You know what? There's enough guys out there talking about that. I mean, we'd still love to look at it from okay, here's this new game. Let's talk TressFX engine in the Tomb Raider game, powered by AMD's compute. Like that's the kind of stuff that we want to talk about. But we do want to make sure that we're staying focused on that gaming stuff. So,
Yep. Should we do some Twitter Q&A for a bit, or do you want to jump into topics?
You know what? Let's do Twitter Q&A. But first, I want to talk about a feature that I found in Hootsuite that made my life easier this weekend, but actually really annoyed me.
Scheduled tweets?
Yeah, how do you know?
Best an assumption.
Okay, no, not just scheduled tweets. It's more than that. So if you, I logged into Hootsuite and I just have a free account. So I'm not paying for a premium account. So Hootsuite is a social media platform management tool. For those of you who live under a rock and haven't heard of Hootsuite, you can use it to do things like schedule tweets. You can manage streams. You can have a team of people managing the social media as opposed to just one person. So if your name is, say, for example, Coca-Cola, then a tool like Hootsuite, you're not going to have like one dude replying to every tweet that Coke gets. So they had they have a thing in there, and I was scheduling out some tweets for this weekend because part of the giveaway deal for me to get those extreme editions to give away on the forum was that I have to do some tweets about the Intel PAX presence and make sure that that people are checking out the new app and
Keep on.
oh, signing up for the Lenovo giveaway and all that good stuff.
Speaking of which, sorry, I just wanted to find a good spot to cut you off there. We did work to get you guys those awesome items. A lot of people have been saying like, "Holy crap, this is the best giveaway ever." Yeah.
I was up till 5 a.m. last night, sort of tying together all the last few things to get that launched. So
Yeah, like
we love you guys, and you know what? To be perfectly honest, there was potentially an extreme edition in it for us, but we gave away 2
Yeah, because we were
instead, because we have enough extreme editions.
and 2 is just
And 2
always
is
better.
just better than
Yeah.
1. So I think we're up to internal use. We have 4 extreme editions at this point.
We use them all, which is
We
ridiculous.
use them all. Diesel's editing rig, the thermal test bench, the video card test bench, and my machine. But whatever.
Use them all.
Yeah, we use them all.
The extreme edition in Linus's machine that gets used for word processing
And tweeting.
and tweet.
Anyway, I was in Hootsuite and I was putting together the tweets that I wanted to send out this weekend. And there's a new feature that automatically schedules your tweet for the optimal time for more people to receive it.
Whoa, didn't know about that.
So basically, no, it's a new feature. They introduced it to pay customers, I think, a few months ago. There's no information from Hootsuite about what exactly is an optimal time. So it's probably something to do with time of day. It's probably something to do with not having tweets go out a couple minutes away from each other because that limits the exposure. I've seen this with YouTube videos. If I launch 2 YouTube videos at the same time versus scheduling them out 12 hours apart, that's much higher impact. So you can't schedule for a particular day with it. So you basically just sit there and write tweets and just click auto schedule.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, what is exactly the social aspect of this? Because I use Twitter for interaction. That's what I actually use it for.
I almost don't even tweet my own stuff. I just talk to people.
And that is the way, like, I think that was what Twitter was initially meant for. But it has turned into something where, and I was doing some research about TweetReach. Are you familiar with TweetReach? Okay, so TweetReach is a tool that allows you to search for like a hashtag or a keyword or even an entire tweet and see the reach. So reach is an advertising term. The reach and the impressions. Impressions is another advertising term for how many eyeballs looked at it. So you can see the impressions of a tweet based on how many times it was retweeted and by who to who. And I was like, I was just a little bit blown away by how automated and how empty it is a lot of the
Yeah,
time.
because that's really not interacting with your fans in like a positive way. That's just a yeah. Make sure they see me as much as possible. Yeah.
I mean, giving things away is good.
yeah.
Promoting contests on Twitter, you know what? Honestly, that's cool. If you want to give away Ultrabooks, give away CPUs.
I'm sure people aren't going to be upset that you're trying to give them a free extreme.
But it shouldn't be all the time, and
Yeah.
you shouldn't be just like scheduling out your daily interaction on Twitter. Like I picture like the social media sort of person for a company showing up at work, typing up 30 tweets, clicking auto schedule, and then like chilling by like the coffee machine for the rest of the
Yeah,
day.
'cause
Like
they don't care anymore.
like that to me is not quite right. And I'm not saying that's what's happening everywhere. It put that image in my head and it made me kind of unhappy.
The fact that it's an option and realizing that a lot of the people that are doing these jobs, because for us it's our personal accounts.
yes.
Same with Diesel.
So Slick owns his Twitter account. That's
Yeah.
not something he does for Linus Media Group.
Yeah.
So
So and you own yours and Diesel owns his. Like all of us run our own personal Twitter accounts.
and it's semi-optional.
Semi-optional.
Well, I told you to get Twitter. I told you to use Twitter, but it's at the end of the day, it's up to you how much you interact and how much you work on it. So.
you know what's coming from us
Yeah.
is more our personal stuff.
I've got like pictures of my cats on there all the time. and,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah. So that's cool. When you're reading stuff from, say, not to rip on Coke again. Maybe I should pick someone else.
Yeah, pick on someone else. Let's
Pepsi.
say like Cisco. Does Cisco even have Twitter?
I don't know.
I
But
have no
Cisco,
idea.
Let's go
Sure.
with that. Say you're reading something from a huge company like Cisco. They're going to be sitting behind a PR firm who's going to be running their Twitter.
Presumably.
Presumably. Possibly. I have no idea. I picked some random
And
name
it
out of-
depends, because like for example, I'm not picking on Intel, but I know Intel has a ton of different Twitter handles.
Yeah.
There's at Intel Edge, probably
Yeah.
at Intel Inside, at Intel PR, at Intel. So there's lots of different ones, and some of them I know are run by Intel. I know that.
Oh, okay.
So maybe with some companies they outsource their entire Twitter, but even some big companies I know are actually managing their own Twitter.
Yep, yep.
So,
and I know,
anyway.
at the same time, with some of these groups, there's guys sitting behind those social media accounts that are awesome. They're constantly pushing it. They're pushing up promotional stuff, but then they're also answering like everybody's tweets with like good information, links to what they need to
Yeah.
know, all that kind of stuff. A lot of these guys are really good, but you know there'll be that one person who's
Yeah.
just like, automated tweets and then drinking some coffee.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just.
It
I
just
don't
made
know.
me sad.
Yeah.
That's all. So speaking of Twitter, let's do some Twitter Q&A. I have a 460 SC I'm looking to upgrade. What's the best single NVIDIA GTX? Well, the Titan is the best one, but you haven't really given us much to work with here, DJ.
He said card, not single GPU.
No, single GTX card. Yeah, Titan.
690.
690, single NVIDIA GTX card. Oh, well, I don't know.
It's a single
You
card.
could make the argument that a Titan is a better option than a 690.
Yep.
I would go for more VRAM. Remember, a 690 only has 2 gigs of usable
yep,
VRAM.
that's true. That's true. It depends on a situation, I guess.
No micro stutter, lower power consumption,
Titan was really smooth.
quieter operation.
690 is still more powerful.
Yes.
But he said best, which is well-rounded, I guess.
Best. What does best mean?
I don't really know.
The Titan is lighter. Weighs less. Actually, I think it probably weighs about the same.
I don't know. I don't think that's a benchmark that people really care that much about.
You know what? I was even, you know that scale that I kept in the NCI in the old NCIX
Were you
Tech
gonna weigh
Studio?
them?
I was gonna start weighing video cards as part of my length and looks and whatever videos, and then I just kind of bailed on it. Like, yeah, I don't.
Well, if you're going for weight, 650 is a very good option.
Yeah, so
I don't really think that matters that much.
someone apparently doesn't like the offensive logo on one of our hoodies.
It says Adidas.
It says Adidas. So
I'm not even wearing a hoodie. So.
yeah, here's the, yeah, okay.
Oh, it says, oh.
Okay, is the price of a 660 Ti worth it over a regular 660? We actually found price to performance ratio, the 660 is a better value. However, if you want to push it to the next level and really start enabling those better details, anti-aliasing, all that stuff,
Yeah, and another thing you
660
can
Ti
do.
is a good option.
Yeah, and another thing you can do is we've released a few of them now, and I will continue to release a bunch of them. Next one that is planned is Tomb Raider, but we're going to be doing graphics card roundups per game. So if there's certain games that you play a lot, and we release a video for it, you can check to see like,
What's
okay,
the best value?
yeah, you can check, be like, okay, I'm planning on playing Battlefield 3. What price bracket should I shoot for? By looking at the frames per second,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, check it out there. Because 660 and 660 Ti make it in, I think, so far, every single one of those.
Yeah, because we just go
because-
based on what we can buy for an approximate price point.
Yeah.
When is Corsair sending you a 900D? We will have one. We don't have a confirmation yet. I was actually on the phone with Corsair, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? When did I talked to Corsair yesterday. And they said, we're working on it. We will get you one. So we will check it out. Honestly though, if you just want to see a 900D and you want to see me in the same video as it, we did cover the 900D at CES. Your Windows 8 test bench have problem. Yeah, we know. There it is. Yay, Windows error message. Will an optical 4000 DPI mouse be enough for gaming on 2560 by 1440? Probably.
I think so.
I would think so. I actually use a lower, my mouse calculates in CPI because it's an Akari laser, but I use a lower sensitivity than that on my 2560 by 1600 monitor that I found out today.
Ooh.
If I were going to replace the panel on it, because I was hoping to just get a replacement part, would cost me $1,000.
Yeah.
So I might as well just get an IPS Leonidas from eBay at that point. Although I really haven't quite, there's no monitor on my desk right now. So
Oh.
I actually haven't decided what to do monitor-wise.
No good.
Sad.
Not only does he not have
sad
his
face.
gaming machine actually running yet, he doesn't have a monitor.
OS is installed. It's tested out. I just have to finish it up physically.
Stop.
What?
Should Nintendo...
Oh.
Should Nintendo / Game Freak release a Pokemon MMO?
Actually, that would be amazing. Are you going to
Check
say
out-
no?
Check out Poke MMO. Google Poke MMO. Yeah. Bam. You
Is
can
it-
play it. It's not actually released by Nintendo or Game Freak, but they don't actually seem to be attacking them in any way. There's a
Really?
huge patch very recently released, massive one. They finally implemented Elite Four. They finally have, as far as okay, these are patch notes that I read a while ago, so these could be fairly inaccurate. But yeah, Google Poke MMO. I call it Pokemo just because it's really easy to say that way.
Pokemon.
Yeah, massive patch recently released. It seems like guys are kind of working on this just in their free time, so it isn't going super fast, but the most recent patch made it like much more playable than it was before because it unlocked a ton of more zones. I think you can get Mewtwo now. I think 2 versus 2 battles might be enabled now.
Really?
I think spectator mode is enabled now, so you can watch people fight. I think Elite Four is in like a lot more
Okay, hold
stuff
on,
is
hold
in
on.
the
I
game.
got someone ripping on me for thinking that Pokemon was a good game. Pokemon was an outstanding game.
Pokemon was freaking amazing.
I never watched the show once. I'm not like some kind of Pokemon kid or whatever. I'm older than him, so
I saw season 1 when I was a kid and then stopped. But Pokemon the game is
yeah,
amazing.
it wasn't quite my generation, but Pokemon, the Game Boy game, was freaking outstanding. It was a great RPG, and
I
it
got Pokemon Blue in my room, man.
and the gameplay, like the concept of the game, lends itself perfectly to MMO.
Yeah.
Heroes out there collecting Pokeballs, and instead of having like stupid people arranged on a bridge such that you can't get past without them seeing you, and like you might as well
can,
just have like random. Some of them you can avoid because they look the other way.
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Come on, I played the game too. I
No,
know.
I
but-
actually wasn't trying to say that. Player collision is not in the game, so you run through people.
Really?
I think NPC collision is still in.
Okay. Okay.
But just like to clear that up so that there isn't like random players just, haha, you can't get across Nugget Bridge because I'm standing in between one of the trainers and you. You can walk through people.
But yeah, like, oh man, Pokemon MMO would actually be sick. I'm tempted to I'm kind
It's
of tempted
fun.
to try it.
The last time I actually played, you couldn't do Elite Four.
You got to
you
buy
couldn't-
it. You got to buy it. To Pokemon.
It's really like, yeah, it's a really light game, obviously, and you just play it on PC,
Yeah.
obviously. So it's really easy to run. Don't worry about if your computer sucks. It's fine.
Someone thinks our live streams are awesome. Good work, Michael.
Yay.
Can you suggest a good screen to use for gaming on 3 screens? It's about $200 per screen. Funny you should bring this up.
Wow.
Fist bump to you. I'll let you start. I'm gonna go get one of these monitors.
The best segue ever.
The best one.
I can't remember the model name because Acer's model names of things are insane. But we just did a video for NCX Tech Tips today on a monitor, IPS monitor, great viewing angles. I believe it's 1080p. I believe it's 23 inch. It's 23 inch, right?
Yeah, 23 inch.
1080p.
Yep.
So it's 23 inch 1080p. The bezel, the actual physical bezel, is ridiculously small.
Yeah, 0.08 inches.
Right, but then
Less
the
than
glass.
a tenth of an inch.
Yeah, the glass extends past the display. So that bezel
Yeah.
is insanely small, but you can see in the picture.
Okay, so the bezel's like here, and then there's a segment here in between where it's just black glass, but it's like a single sheet of glass over the whole thing. So sorry, go ahead. I don't know where you were.
And because there's no physical bezel that goes that is closer to you than the screen is, when they're all lined up together, it works really, really well.
Yeah, it's instead of faffing about with them for like 20 minutes to get it looking acceptable, they flush up against each other really nicely, and they are, even still, it's not a 0.08 inch total dead space. It's smaller than most monitors, and just the fact that they're so thin and glass, and like we had it set up today at the
Yeah.
NCIX Tech Tip studio. We had 3 of these bad boys set up. So this is the BID
something.
BID, or no, H236HLBID. So it's IPS, 5 millisecond response time, 1080p, glass front, just outstanding monitor, and
Really
it's
good looking.
$179.99. So
Yeah.
right there,
So that's
Right there,
slightly
folks.
under your price point and just totally awesome.
just actually beast. It doesn't have height adjustable stand, and like it doesn't have a great stand at all. It seems like a nitpicky detail though when you're kind of going, okay, well, what's the best surround game? I mean, here's the problem with surround gaming on TN panels. So most gaming monitors out there are using TN panels, which are very responsive, but they have poor viewing angles.
Yep.
And when you're setting up a surround config, it's not always possible to make it so that those peripheral monitors are directly facing your eyes at all times.
Yeah.
So you end up with weird washed out colors, or you end up with color shift, which is when the actual quality of the colors change depending on the angle.
Which is,
It's very distracting. I would much rather game on a good quality IPS surround setup than a TN setup any day of the week. And I mean, we checked out the response time. It wasn't bad.
it was pretty good.
It was pretty good, even compared to a gaming grade TN panel that we looked at pretty recently.
IPS technology is getting a lot better.
It's kind of awesome,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And viewing angles on it were like perfect. You were like,
They were
this,
really good.
and
Yeah.
you could still just see it perfectly.
And like we film it, but the camera doesn't really pick it up quite as well as a human
Yeah.
eye does. So as it like distorts a little bit in the camera, it was better than that. And if you get one of the IPS panels, you'll realize like on almost any of them, it looks a little bit better than it will in your camera.
Yeah. So yeah, that took care of that. Get well soon, Slick.
Thanks.
Toby Driver, of course, there. Yep, send them a message. Maybe they'll work on it more. What do you think about Richard Garriott's new game? I'm gonna wait for Yahtzee's review of his new game, and then I will formulate my opinion based on his, because I'm sure even if he's wrong, it'll be absolutely hilarious. I don't know. It's not out yet. It's some. I forget what it is. It's something.
Isn't that who totally bailed? And then I don't think it was Richard Garriott, but someone totally bailed on a huge project to make a Connect 3 game.
I have.
I really
no
don't think it was
idea.
Richard Garriott, but just bringing that up reminded me of this. No. Who was it? I don't remember the guy's name, but he bailed on a really big project that's been doing really well to make like a Bejeweled game, basically. And everyone's just like, what?
How
I
fast,
don't remember who it was. Damn.
How fast is your internet at home? It's 100 down, 5 up right now, but I'm waiting for Shaw to hurry up and roll out 250 down, 15 up in my area. Please tell me the reason for making fixed side bezels on monitors. And is it really costly to make thin bezels? It's costly in terms of defectives because the bezel actually protects the screen and the backlights and the internals in a big way. Whether it's in shipping or whether it's just general wear and tear, the bezel genuinely protects it. So, I mean, I've asked myself the same question because if you look at Samsung's 8000 series and 9000 series smart TVs, they have bezels that are thinner than most notebooks.
Yeah.
And if you look at things like smartphones, you go, okay, realistically, guys, why couldn't you put a bezel that thin on my PC monitor? The answer is they could, they just won't, because the flex of the materials, okay, when you get bigger, makes it harder to control unless you can make the device thicker. People want thinner monitors, so they end up with bezels. Most people aren't running 3 monitors, so most people don't care. And when you design a product for mass market, you don't consider what sort of less than 1% of the available people who might buy it would think. I mean, what else is there? I wish they'd do it. I mean, Samsung had a product, their MD3X thing. It was like a custom thing. I did an NCIX Tech Tips about it. That was really cool. The thing that was disappointing about that was it was TN, so
Yeah.
it was a surround TN, and oh my goodness, the input lag and the pixel response time on those were unbelievable.
I didn't.
Must have been like 25 millisecond response times. Like,
Ooh.
oh no, it was unreal.
Ooh.
It was like a business-oriented SKU.
Okay, but still, ooh.
Yeah,
I don't want to see my word go like, chop.
you wouldn't have even believed it if you saw it.
Before I started working here, I didn't really think I cared about the monitor thing too much.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, I've seen better monitors now.
Remember when we did the one on the Samsung 27-inch PLS with the glass panel?
Was that the Series 9?
Yeah, or Series 8 or whatever it was. That monitor that had the
That just-
gorgeous metal stand.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
just changed everything.
That just wrecked it for you, didn't it?
Yeah, and then I saw the price tag and I was like, okay, I'll find something else. But but still,
Oh, I'd love to have one of those.
they're
So
insanely nice.
Okay, okay, I've heard of MOBA games. Like, I'm perfectly familiar with League of Legends. I played Dota in Warcraft 3 and all that stuff. Like, I'm perfectly familiar with the idea, with the concept. I know what the game type is. I just hadn't heard the term before.
Yeah.
I know your GPU tests compare 3 price points, but the 650 Ti and 7850 are very popular cards. Can you test those too? We'll look into adding more cards, but bear in mind, guys, the more cards we add to these and the more price points we add, the more of a delay there will be between releases and the longer it'll take us to address new games as they come out.
Because every time I have to go through and I have to find an applicable benchmark, which takes a while, because not only do I have to go through the game and find a 2-minute segment, which can be done very consistently, which pushes the card enough, but doesn't have anything, like I just said, that would make it inconsistent, that doesn't have any stop events in it, that doesn't have any points where everything, like where it's a big door and I have to wait for half the benchmark for the door to open, or the game saves and goes into a cinematic, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And then I have to run it a whole bunch of times and calculate and see how close I can get every run to make sure that there isn't a big differential.
Cinematic gaming just destroys benchmarking.
It's crazy.
Like, oh.
And like it brings a lot to it because our benchmarks are different because they're not canned and they're not the
Yeah.
same calculated thing that everyone else is doing.
And like, I'd love to play Crysis 3, but but originally, my account was auto-saved to a point where if I actually went past that point and it auto-saved, you couldn't go back. Or maybe it wasn't, maybe it was Crysis 2.
Crysis 2.
Yeah, Crysis 2. I was like, really? Really? You don't support saves? Like, even last generation consoles have hard drives. How hard is it to save something? They have online services. Like, hoy.
Yeah, so after all that, then I have to start benching. Like it takes a lot, and then I have to do everything else I have to do. So.
Okay, so John asks, how do you determine what power supply to use? Single GPU, 450 to 550, dual GPU, 650 to 850, triple GPU, just buy yourself a 1,000-watt power supply. There.
Sweet.
And that's building in some room for, I mean, make sure you're picking a good quality power supply. That's key as well.
We're back to where we were before.
Are we?
Yeah.
Would you ever consider doing builds for people? Having people pay you to build a system? Sure. If anyone wants to pay me $1,000, I'll build a system for you. It won't be anything special. It won't be any different from what you could build yourself. I just want to make sure that that's clear from the very start. $2,000 for water cooled. $3,000 if you want me to include a picture of the look on my face because I spent that time building your system instead of finishing mine.
Oh my god. Oh, now if someone does it, their build will be up and ready before yours is. Amazing. That would be fantastic.
Not good. Okay, you know what? Let's jump into a new topic before we do any more Twitter Q&A. What you got?
Okay, so give me 1 second. First of all, last stream we actually brought up. Last stream was we had a little bit of a heyday making fun of Origin. One of the things that we brought up was that people that pre-ordered Crysis paid full pop for the game.
Oh yeah.
And then it went on sale. Guess what, folks?
It's on sale again.
And for less. The regular edition of Crysis 3 is now $29.99. And the deluxe edition of the game is now $39.99.
With all of that said, EA CEO is stepping down. So
I think he's like gone.
is that what's going on? Because it's headlines everywhere, and it's hard to say exactly what it's to do with. Whether it's being voted worst company in the world in
They're getting
2012. Are they going to get it again for 2013?
I heard they're like consecutive winners or whatever.
Did they get it again?
Well, they're like in the final running or whatever.
Okay.
I read it I only read a little bit of it, but
Okay.
EA is in again. They might possibly win it again.
Okay. Plus the SimCity fiasco.
Oh, which is still a problem.
What a disaster.
I was interested in what they changed about SimCity, so I watched a stream for a little bit, and the guy got desynced from the server, so it rolled him back. So I was watching the stream and it rolled them back to all the way before I had connected to the stream. And I had been watching for a little bit and I'm like, all right, well, I'm done and I'm not even playing the game.
Wow.
I was like, I don't care anymore and I'm not even the person playing. Imagine you lost all that time because it syncs back to the last time the server had synced.
And the stupid thing is, it's one thing if like it's your fault. Like when
Yeah.
I'd be playing Final Fantasy VI, and I'd be like, pretty close to the end of this dungeon. I think I should probably hit that save point. I was like, yeah, I'm so buff and overpowered, whatever. And then like, Vargas kicks my butt with his stupid bears that I can't figure out how to do Sabine's blitz combo because I'm like 9. So it's one thing if it's my fault, but if you're supposed to be managing my autosaves, then you better be managing it.
Yeah, in Morrowind, if you die and you lose your save, you're upset. In SimCity, if the server desyncs and you lose your game, you're pissed off.
Yeah, you rage quit.
Yeah. Like it's a completely different situation.
Yeah.
Other than that, we've got HCC thing, which I already covered, and then I've got these 2 topics. Not saying them out loud because I'm not sure when we're going to actually start talking about them.
Let's do those.
Okay, first, we got into a little bit of a discussion earlier today, and then we paused. We were like, no.
We should talk about this on the
We
live
should talk
stream.
about this on the live stream. So survey results are something that apparently we share. We share views on. Survey results are a little bit interesting. Things like Steam's surveys, I personally find a little bit more accurate than most.
Valid. Okay, so this started when we were in the middle of a shot, like doing something, and I got a call on my phone from an area code I didn't recognize, and I was like, oh, I should probably take this just in case it's related to some important thing. And it was someone that wanted me to take a survey on the media representation of lifestyles in British Columbia, which is the province that I live in. And I was like, really? As if anyone has time for this. But the reality of it is, someone replied to that survey. Who was it? Do they actually represent the views of anyone who has a life?
And like you're calling in working hours too.
Yeah, calling during work hours. So who do they actually get to talk to them about in this weird topic? Like, really, that was what it was. It was like the media's portrayal of lifestyle.
And like that makes me think like, oh, lifestyle in BC, interesting. But we're like the least interesting people. We're lazy people that like hanging out.
The way I interpreted it was like,
not lazy. But
how do you feel like do you feel like you look at a show like Friends, where like none of them have good jobs, but for some reason they can all afford, none of them.
2 of them
'Kay.
have great jobs.
Okay, but the others don't. Okay, whatever. You look at any sitcom.
Yeah.
Okay, look at like Big Bang Theory, where they like, it's, okay, the professors are fine, but you look at like the girl,
Yeah.
how does she have this huge apartment?
Like awesome apartment.
And she's a waitress.
Yeah.
And like spends all this money. Because that's another thing too. It's not just about like the houses they live in, but like you look at all the money these
They
people
go and
spend.
eat a lot. They buy a lot of stuff. They've got a baller apartment.
So I think it was one of those kinds of things. I'm like, okay, so you're asking all the people who don't have anything to do right now in the middle of a day on a weekday. And I'm not saying everyone works 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. I understand that. So it's not like they're talking to only people without jobs. But mostly they're probably talking to people without jobs.
Yeah. And like even completely taking any negative thing that he has said so far and might go into, this is taking a very small demographic, whether that's bad or good.
Yeah.
You're getting a singular demographic.
And then you're reporting these results. Who are you reporting these results to? What are they changing? What are they doing? Is this like for a lobbyist group or like
No idea.
that's the thing, is like these surveys, you don't know who's replying to them. You don't know what they're going to impact. And it's one thing to be like, oh, well, Linus, if you're so upset about it, why don't you reply to the survey? Well, because I actually have better things to do than reply to every survey.
Like prepare for a live stream so that it's on time.
Like finish filming the shot that I'm actually in the middle of right now.
It stopped the shot. Yeah, we had to cancel shooting.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh, this could be important. And it could have been.
Well, it's from like Pennsylvania. I was like, who do I know in Pennsylvania?
But who knows?
But
Like,
who
I don't
knows?
know.
Like it could be like, Aquaman.
That would be important.
That would be important.
That could be.
Actually, that might not be that important.
He's probably not going to say that much stuff.
I'm Aquaman.
Although he might be helping.
Actually, it's not Aquaman who talks like that.
No.
It's only Christian Bale. In fact, you couldn't even convince me Batman talks like that. Christian Bale talks like that when he thinks he sounds like Batman. Yeah. That's it. And it's stupid. And he's not going to be in the next Batman movie, so I don't have to listen to him talk like that anymore.
He's not?
No, the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy is done.
Right.
And did I say Christopher Bale? I'm sorry, Christian Bale.
No, I think you said Christopher Nolan.
Oh, did I? Did I get Christian Bale right? Okay, whatever.
Pretty sure.
I know their
I
names.
don't know.
Christian Bale, Batman, Christopher Nolan, visionary director. So anyway, the Christopher Nolan reimagining of the Batman thing is done now. And you know why they couldn't properly implement Robin into any of those movies? Christian Bale refused to be in a movie with Robin.
What? I know he's a crazy actor.
But
I know he's insanely dedicated, and he will like become the role he needs to become, and he's great in that aspect.
He wouldn't do it if there was Robin.
But he's just insane at the same time. He wouldn't do it because it's wrong. He like attacks people that are on set. Have you heard about that?
No.
I think there might be a lot of things in this story that are wrong.
Yeah, all opinions, blah blah expressed, blah blah blah, belong to this guy, not Linus Media Group Inc.
What about just this story?
Everything.
Not things that he says.
No, I'm just an employee of Linus Media Group Inc. Technically, it's an incorporated company. So.
Yeah.
So all the opinions expressed are totally nothing irrelevant, or they're nothing relevant. They're.
I don't care.
Carry on. Okay.
So this might be wrong. I think it was a guy holding a boom pole for a mic, and the mic comes a little bit into the camera, and Christopher Nolan gets...
Christopher Nolan or Christian Bale?
Christian Bale, my bad.
Okay.
You got me all mixed up.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Christian Bale got so mad, and like part of this is on film, got so mad that the guy ended up... I think someone just said the machinist. I don't remember. He got so ridiculously mad that the guy ended up quitting, and then he quit, and they had to pay him money because he quit, because it was like a harassment thing. Because like how much he got attacked. Just because like Boompole came into the frame for one little thing. Which as far as I know is like fairly common.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
And it's your job
And
to
it
make
was
sure
a
it
mistake.
doesn't.
But you don't have to like attack the guy and like
Right.
totally wreck him. I don't know. I can't really remember very many specific stories, but as far as I know, he's just absolutely insane.
Cool. I mean, you know what? It's one of those things where to be truly elite at almost anything, there's a little bit of quirkiness involved. Like, find me someone who's the best in the world at something who's like a normal bro.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Uh,
No, you're not going to be able to do it.
I don't really follow that many like things that closely.
I mean, okay, look at guys
The only
like...
one I can think of is Keanu Reeves, but he's not the best in the world at acting.
He's not the best in the world at anything.
He's not that great at acting.
He
fits his roles really well,
Look
though.
at Steve Jobs, who you could argue is one of the most influential businessmen.
But a terrible
century.
person.
Well, okay, we can't really say he's a terrible person. May
He's
he
a
rest in
terrible
peace and all
person.
that. But he did a
I guess
lot
he's-
of questionable stuff.
He was a terrible
He did a lot of questionable stuff. Why don't we just agree he did a lot of questionable stuff and call it a day?
He did an insane amount of questionable things
Okay.
to his employees.
Okay, asterisk, Linus Media Group, blah, blah,
Has
blah.
nothing
It has
to do with
nothing to
these
do with any of this.
statements. Blah, blah, blah.
So I mean, so find me one of those guys who's like a true visionary, head and shoulders above everyone else at anything, and they're probably a little different.
Maybe, I don't know.
I
Like
think
I said, I don't follow that much
Right.
stuff.
It takes a unique way of looking at things, I think. Like, I mean, everyone agrees Steve Wozniak is a little different.
He's a little bit different.
He's
He's
a
awesome,
little bit different.
but he's a little bit different.
He's a little different. Truly elites are a little different. So, I don't know.
Yeah, because I guess you can still be awesome. You're just not average person style. Because like Notch is very personable with everything, and he's kind of an awesome guy, and he's like, I guess you could say he's the best indie.
Okay.
Is that a thing?
I don't really think so, but
Best indie developer?
yeah.
I think that's a thing. I would think that's
Yeah,
a
but
thing.
to me, a developer is a developer, and any
So you're
developer
going for best developer.
can quit their job tomorrow and be an indie developer.
Right, but then I think you'd be gauged on different success. He was able to release an indie game. That was
Okay, have you met him?
actually, yes.
Okay, and is he a bro?
He seemed like a nice enough guy.
Seems like a bro. Okay.
And he was pretty chill. Like,
but
he
then a
wasn't-
lot of stuff comes out after these people die.
right,
like biographies
that's true,
and stuff.
That's true. But of anyone I could think of, Notch is like
Okay.
way too chill.
Okay.
for anything to really be like that.
If
If there's like the dark past and dark stories of Notch, let me know because that would be hilarious. But I don't know.
someone's suggesting Gabe Newell. From everything I've heard, Gabe Newell is actually just kind of a boss. So, okay, and he is
Like, there's-
truly elite at
Oh yeah,
Whatever.
definitely. And there's exceptions. I guess there's exceptions to the rule.
yeah, but they proved the rule. That's the convenient exceptions prove the rule
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I just got an Apple TV.
Right.
It's actually kind of awesome.
I'm like the least interested person ever. But continue.
AirPlay is if you're an iOS user, and you know I use my iPad too.
Yeah.
You know I use my iPhone, or I did as of
Did.
before, like a couple hours ago.
Right.
So as an Apple user, AirPlay is wicked because it's just a matter of going, play something, and you can. People are complaining you can't have the apps you want on the Apple TV Gen 3, and I can't quite figure out why that's an issue.
Can you-
If you're an
okay.
Apple user, if you're not, then I understand.
I heard you mention this before.
Yeah.
Can you push? I know you said some. Okay, continue for a little bit and then I'll interject.
Sure. So anyway, you can install whatever apps you want. So you can't install like your CNN app or your Olympic app or your whoever, if there's a special presidential debate app or whatever, you can't install it on the Apple TV. But if you want to install any apps you want, you can install it on your other iOS device and push it just by pressing a button. And there's no lag. The quality looks great. Is it as good as if you directly plugged in a Blu-ray movie via HDMI? No, probably not. But it actually works exceptionally well. If you want, because people are complaining there's no jailbreak for it, so you can't install your own apps, you can't get access to free media, and that makes it sort of useless and worthless. But for an iOS user, it doesn't. If you're someone who uses other platforms and was planning to have the Apple TV integrate perfectly with your daily life, you know what? You probably had the wrong expectations because it's designed for people who are going to be using iTunes and an iPod and an iPad and an iPhone. And you know what? Those people do exist, and they can buy an Apple TV Gen 3, and that's great. I didn't buy it because I particularly needed an Apple TV. If I wanted a media player on my TV, I would put a Pivos Xios on it or a Pivos Eos because those are freaking awesome. And I know the guys at Pivos, and they're awesome too. But what I actually have on my TV is a media PC because that's what, represent.
Media PCs are just kind of great.
It's kind of
It's an
awesome.
Awesome experience.
And have you ever heard a computer that's as quiet as my media PC?
It's silent. You can't.
You
If,
can
if
put-
it was, it would tie. Pretty
You can
much.
put your ear on the panel, and you actually can't hear that computer. So
Yeah.
it's dead silent, kicks out almost no heat. It's an LGA 1156 dual core. Yeah, anyway. Apple TVs. Actually, it works really well, though.
The question I was going to ask was, couldn't you just push apps?
Yes.
And then you said, that's why I said just continue.
whatever you want.
Because I was like, yeah, he's probably going to say
And it's
it.
obviously, it's got all that integration. Netflix, Hulu got a complete UI overhaul on the latest iOS update. So, yeah, if you're into Apple stuff, then great. And if you're not, then there you go. Linus looking to Air Parrot for your PC. Something, something, something. Okay.
None of this I care about, again, because we should just have media PCs. But
Yeah.
kind of cool, I guess.
Why isn't Cable Card in Canada yet? That makes me so mad. Do you know what Cable Card is?
No.
Okay, you know how we used to have analog TV tuner cards that you could put in your computer? And you could watch TV on your computer, you record TV, and then you could use Windows Media Center in order to actually turn your TV into a media hub. Okay, it was awesome. Cable Card is a standard that allows you to take, instead of having a digital set-top box, it's a card that's a PCI Express card that you plug your provider's card into, and then it can decrypt the signals. So you don't have to have a set-top box at all. You can run the whole thing through your computer. Cable Card, the reason that the Media PC died, at least in Canada anyway, there's a lot of reasons the Media PC died, but the reason the Media PC just couldn't do anything in Canada is the cable providers here refused to implement Cable Card. And it's just baffling to me. I mean, they don't want you to archive and, have media. And so, I get that, but I really don't understand why the CRTC didn't address it.
And, like, come on. If you... Archiving's going to happen.
We run into this every freaking time. Like, remember, okay, you don't remember. In fact, I don't remember, but I remember my mom talking about it. When radio cassette players that you could record on became commonplace, all of a sudden, there was a big hullabaloo about, oh my goodness, they can record from the radio. What are we going to do? You know what? Here we are, 25 years later? I don't know when the cassette tape decks came out. I'm young. But is the music industry dead? No. Does that affect Psy's Gangnam Style song from pulling in millions of dollars?
There's a new huge research study covering piracy and saying that it doesn't affect music sales at all,
Interesting.
which is really interesting.
I don't
Yeah,
know if
agree.
that's quite true, because
I
there
don't
are
really think so
definitely
either.
times when I would have bought something if I couldn't find it. In the past, I don't have any of that stuff anymore, of course.
I was like, eh? Usually they're saying, though, the same thing Gabe says about piracy, Gabe Newell, is that it's a distribution problem and it's a pricing problem. It's not a piracy problem.
You know what? Actually, when Steam came along was when I stopped downloading games. I still download them, but I download them legitimately.
Yeah.
Because Steam is the platform. If every platform worked the same way as Steam, like when my phone has unlimited data, and you know what? Actually, Microsoft's music service is really good, except
Yeah.
I was missing a lot of the artists that I would have liked to have on there.
Yeah.
It's not as broad as something like iTunes, but I mean, a subscription-based service makes a ton of sense, and when I have unlimited data, then we're talking. If I have the distribution medium where I can just enjoy my content on whatever device I want, whenever I want. Otherwise, what am I paying for exactly?
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, you still buy box games, which is just baffling to me.
I like, well, at the same time, I still buy and collect.
I had to drive this guy around for, how long were we out? An hour and a half?
A while, actually, because freaking...
Because
Ugh.
he noobed out and took us to like a store that didn't carry PC games. Huh?
Okay, there's two of this store in existence at all. One of them is near my parents' place, and I used to go there when I was a kid because it was near my parents' place. And then one is closer to where we work. So after work, I was like, hey, well, I have to go back to my apartment. Can you drive me so I don't have to take a bus, like, around this ridiculous loop and over this thing and all over the place, and then all the way back and across to where I live? Can you just drive me? So he's like, okay. We drive to the first place. They're closed. We drive to the second place, which is the same name as the place where I used to go when I was a kid, and they're a movie store. When
Yeah,
I,
like movie rentals, as if that business model isn't completely dead.
like, what are you doing? The place where I used to go as a kid, which is the same name and is still there, 3/4 of the store is games. They have one, like, section of a wall for movies.
Yeah, and
It's
this
like-
was the complete opposite. She didn't know, the lady didn't know what StarCraft 2 was.
I said StarCraft Heart of the Swarm, and she was like, Star what? And I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. This is not going to go well. I didn't stutter. This is not going to go
Oh,
well.
no way, someone guessed it. Carnival of Fear says Willow Video. Yes.
Holy crap.
Fist bump to you, man. Carnival of Fear on the Twitch chat. Guessed the name of the store that we went to.
The one that doesn't have games is terrible.
Yeah, it's
The one that does have games, the other Willow video is great.
so anyway.
It's awesome.
I don't remember where we were going with that.
Anyways,
Oh,
buying
right,
games
you
and
couldn't
stuff.
drive yourself because your Pontiac is a piece of crap.
No, actually, my Pontiac still runs. I just don't get enough money from my employer to insure it.
Actually, what you do is you spend all of your money on physical copies of
Which
games
is the
for some
exact
reason,
same price as the downloadable version.
except that all the gas that's involved in actually driving and going and getting it.
That wasn't my guess. Yes. Anyways, I still buy old school games because I still like playing games on like Super Nintendo and Nintendo stuff. So I still collect certain games for that. I like having the physical cartridge for that. I have my collection of games that
Okay,
have
those
gone
are
through.
collector's items, but let's face it, some mainstream title like StarCraft 2 will never be a collector's
But I
item.
still have my StarCraft 1 battle chest. I want to have my StarCraft 1 Wings of Liberty. I want to have Heart of the Swarm, and I want to have whatever the Protoss one is, so that when I'm older, I can have my whole progression of games.
If anyone from Blizzard is watching, I dare you to call the third installment like Juggalo Nightmare or something. That would be awesome. Because you know what's funny is people would totally still buy the game anyway, and it would make headlines everywhere if they called it like just like something ridiculous.
That's That's just
Like
that's just weird.
Red Bucket Odyssey or something. Like if they just called it something absolutely brain dead, that would be amazing. Okay, bring this up at your next board meeting if anyone from Blizzard is watching.
I just saw someone saying it might be Legacy of the Void.
Oh, all right.
I didn't know that. Apparently, it's Legacy of the Void.
I prefer like
Ha!
Red Hamburger Odyssey or whatever I said before.
Not Juggalo Fantasy or something. I don't even remember what you said. Juggalo something.
I wouldn't want to play a game called Juggalo Fantasy.
I thought that was your point.
Oh, it's Maw of the Void apparently.
Maw of the Void? I don't know. You guys gotta make up your minds, but it's something of the void.
Okay, let's do some Twitter. Let's do some Twitter Q&A. Apparently, I've been signed out of some account or something. Whatever. Le Twitter Q&A. That's the best French. Slick hasn't been fired in a while. Things looking up for him. Maybe a promotion. Don't give him any ideas. You're fired. There.
What? Oh.
Yeah, it's all your
How
fault,
long
Kevin.
was that? I had like a 2-week streak.
Yeah, I think it had been a while.
It's been at least 2 streams. It's pretty good.
No effect
You
on
screwed me
music
over.
sales, derp. Okay. How would an internet company offer better internet plans for less money? Bigger infrastructure,
Charging
more
less
customers.
money. Instead of making $39.50 on a $39.99 plan, they could make a little bit less than that, maybe? I don't know.
Piracy has no effect at all on piracy. Oh, right. That was the one. That was the guy who corrected his tweet. Piracy has no effect on sales. So apparently it was BBC. Wow.
That's pretty.
One of the
like,
few
it was
credible
serious.
guys. Well, sort of. Okay. There's been some. They've been called into
There's been
question
some
a little bit
problems lately,
yeah.
but
There's been problems with everyone.
yeah. And apparently music sales went up this year.
Holy crap. Apparently some guy's selling his house for Bitcoins. That is the craziest thing I've heard today. Huh.
Wow.
I will be floored if Bitcoin ever does anything.
It's been going like crazy.
Okay, it can go crazy all it wants, but at the end of the day, gold will be the one. There, I said it. Quote me on that. It's always going to be gold and precious metals and gems.
Yeah.
It'll always be mineral resources or precious resources in some way. It will never be backed by something virtual.
But do a little bit more research.
I've looked into it. It's been a while since I looked into it, and it was
think
kind
you
of
should do more recently.
it was floundering last time I looked at it. So
It's
maybe it's taking off more now.
it's kind of taking off a lot.
Okay. I still think it's insane.
It doesn't matter if you think it's insane.
Because a currency is only worth what you can actually buy with it.
You can actually buy things with Bitcoin.
You can actually buy some things.
and you can
from
you
the
can
dozen
convert
or
it
so.
into cash very easily now.
Okay, all right.
CanadianBitcoins.com or some crap like that. You can buy them for I think it's $79 per coin, and you can sell them for 50 something per coin.
Okay, so then in that case, what makes it any different from any other currency?
I don't know. You're just saying it's not worth real money. So I'm like, well, okay, if you can't buy something with the Bitcoin and you're complaining about that, you can turn it into real money and buy it that way. There.
Okay.
I was solving your complaint.
But that's exactly
making a
it. You
statement.
can why bother turning something into real money?
I was just saying you had that option. If you couldn't buy something with the currency that you had, well, that was Bitcoin. So you were out of the money that you made this week from your real job, but you've been mining Bitcoins. You want to buy something that doesn't have an option to buy with Bitcoins. You can convert it into real money and buy it that way.
Okay, except that you spent, and this is the research I did, you just spent as much on power mining stupid Bitcoins as you did on the actual Bitcoin money you get.
Very possibly.
It's actually more. So the only,
The value of Bitcoins has also gone up a ton in the last little while.
okay.
Like I just said, $50 per.
But then they
Bitcoin.
get harder to mine all the time and need more
That's true.
computational power all the time. So I'm just kind of looking at this going, okay, so this is just like, what? I mean, you know what? You might as well just fold.
Yeah. Join
Bam.
the folding team.
Folding team. Okay. What cherry switches do you recommend for 50-50 FPS gaming and typing? I really like Browns.
Honestly, if you have the option to try them all, please try them.
all.
Because no
It's
matter
so
how much,
individual.
yeah, and no matter how much you can read about them, no matter how much you can talk about them, you really just need to feel it.
I'm one of the biggest haters of Apple, so right away I can pretty much disregard. Being a hater or a fan of anything makes it very difficult for me to take you seriously because you have to look at things objectively.
Objectively, yeah.
And to say that Apple has had no original ideas and overcharged for everything is just not right. It's not correct. So
They have taken or purchased many of their ideas.
yes,
That is a fact. But they have had some original ideas. They have pushed the industry in a lot of ways, especially
Absolutely.
smartphones.
I
They
mean,
have done a lot of stuff.
their Retina display turned around the garbage stagnation that was going on with pixel density in a huge way. All of a sudden, everyone was like, and
Oh, it
woke up.
matters now.
Oh, holy crap, we have the technology. Why don't we actually freaking build them? So, I mean, that is a huge thing. I mean, pushing the industry in the right direction is an innovation, I think.
Personally, I have no love for Apple. But I
What?
try and look at it in an objective way at all points in time.
And the reality of it is, something to say no original ideas. The iPhone might have a lot of ideas that were integrated and pulled together, but to say that there's no original ideas that go into something like a new car design from Ferrari, you know what? They're not inventing the internal combustion engine every time. But to engineer something into a product that is beautiful and functional and people will pay money for is an idea, whether you like it or not. So
I think a lot of people are looking at the Apple having no original ideas idea. Your Ferrari example, I don't think really applies. I'm sorry, because
Okay. What would be your
we're in the
example?
tech industry where new things are invented all the freaking time.
Okay.
And you're comparing it to cars where new things are not.
I'm just saying.
invented all
I'm
the
just
time.
saying the integration of a bunch of things into something functional and different, that's more than the sum of the parts, is an
Yeah.
idea. That's
Yeah.
my point.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is an idea.
Yeah.
I would say ASUS's PB278Q monitor, which uses a PLS panel from Samsung, uses honestly, I think it uses a shell from one of their other monitors, or maybe that was a different one. It uses a DVI connector. They didn't invent any of this stuff, but that product is more than the sum of the parts. There. Do I support PCI fans? I'm not supporting one right now. I don't have one in my hand. I know what he means.
Oh, I wanted to support one.
Yeah, it's not really a support or not support thing. I would never use one because I think they're ugly.
I think he was maybe asking that in reference to your cards.
Oh yeah, no, I won't put that in my system. To me, iTunes is the lesser of the evils. They all suck in different ways, but iTunes seems most powerful. iTunes has a particular power to shut down my computer. It's really good at that.
Or be insanely annoying. I
Yeah.
refuse to use it. I've never once had iTunes installed on any of my computers.
John Carmack is pretty elite. Okay.
I don't really know.
I don't know what he's done lately.
Not even that. I just don't know him. Like
I don't know. Yeah,
like Gabe Newell. I've seen him out of his environment.
right.
Notch. I've seen him personally and out of his environment. So I could be constructive on that. I don't know.
Gilliam agrees with both of us. He read part of the Steve Jobs biography, and he's terrible when it comes to people, but that's what pushes his team.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah.
Why do I always end up missing these streams? I don't know. Exploded at the guy for getting in the shot or slowing production or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was apparently the Terminator filming. See, you guys got to stop pointing out that I wasn't getting fired for a while. I was on a good streak, and then now he knows, and then now I'm screwed.
Actually, Linus is right, Slick. Car tech is changing all the time. Bam, did you see some of that
Yes.
stuff at CES?
Yes, but it's not changing on the same level as computer technology.
But it's becoming technology so quickly. Look at the
because
Tesla.
it's being integrated from
Tesla,
computer technology.
Tesla, basically a computer on wheels.
Because it's coming from the other side.
Yeah, but that's like saying that an airplane is car technology because it has wheels on it.
Ugh.
Saying that a car is coming from computer technology.
Completely
is
ignoring
like,
like jet engines and everything else.
you can put a jet on a car. It's been done.
That's true. But I don't think that came from cars. The one big badass car that everyone knows for having a jet engine on it, they took it from a plane.
That's true.
And then
they did do
made a
that.
car
I
out
was
of
hoping
it.
you hadn't seen that. Ash
come
says,
on.
I personally prefer Windows-based systems, but Apple has innovated and changed the industry for good in many ways. Yes, they have. They brought build quality back to notebooks. I don't think I would be holding an Aspire S7 with outstanding aluminum build quality, Gorilla Glass all over it, and one of the most beautiful industrial designs I've ever seen if Apple hadn't turned the entire notebook thing on its head with the MacBook and gone, you know what? People will pay over $499.99 at Best Buy for a notebook because that was where it was heading. And it's bad for the entire industry. It's
Yeah.
bad for you guys to get good products. You need build quality, not just specs.
Yeah.
Is the free internet in Google Fiber decent internet? Yes. It's like gigabit or something stupid like that. Wouldn't more FPS than your monitor's refresh rate be wasted? Yep, that's one of the reasons why NVIDIA has adaptive VSync.
Adaptive VSync is awesome.
Yeah, it actually works really
That's
well.
one of my favorite NVIDIA technologies.
Just go Google it. Sorry, we don't have time to cover it right now because I do want to. It's 10:30 already. Okay, I got a few things I want to talk about. You got anything urgent?
Not urgent. I might take the Elder Scrolls Online thing because it's so long and make a huge thread about it on the forum
Maybe
instead
make
of
it after
discussing it
party
here.
and talk about it a little bit.
Or I'll talk about it a little bit in the after party, but I'm gonna make a thread on the forum because it's just so long.
Okay, let me do a few of my things here, and for some reason, oh wow, this is
we've
super
gotta
annoying.
do-
I got signed out. We got to do build of the week. Oh, oops. Oh well, it's done now. Guys, if you emailed me there, I am going to completely ignore it. So just bear that in mind. And I'll block you. So just don't email me there. Okay.
Message him on the forum.
Yeah, message me on the forum. That is the place. Well, mind you, my forum messages keep telling me I'm not authorized to. I'll reply to my forum messages eventually.
We gotta fix something.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with our build of the week. I'm extremely excited to bring this to you guys. So let's go ahead and switch it over here. So I am signed in this tab, so we should be able to see the pictures. Phase change cooled custom test bench with a 3930K and Titan. So this is a balling machine. His 3930K is at 5.3 gigahertz stable, 16 gigs of RAM, and he's got a Titan. Is that Titan running at 1245 megahertz? That's outstanding, actually. Those are good speeds.
Some of these are before and after shots.
Oh, before and
you'll
after shots, okay.
You'll
Okay,
see
so
different cards
here,
sometimes.
You picked this one, so why don't you walk us through it?
I didn't have that much time because we were at work, but as you can see, well, you can scroll down a little bit. He actually built the test bench himself. I think he's got a Vandal switch on the front, but I didn't
Sweet.
actually get to see it too closely. But you can see a little bit of wood grain there. This is actually his own creation. If you scroll down a little bit more.
Wood grain here, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more though. We'll go back to that in a sec because you can see the phase change and everything. It's just kind of awesome. I think it's a Sphinx. These are all just awesome, but if you go down a bunch more, I don't know where it is. There's the Titan. So it showed different cards before this. There we go. He actually made his own bench,
That's awesome.
which is pretty beast because like it's a really nice bench. And from working on benches so much here, like having a really nice bench matters. We've had some. We're pretty much running exclusively on nice benches now, but
Yeah.
we've had some pretty poor ones.
For
at
those of you
times.
who are wondering, we use high-speed PC tech stations.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And they're actually just amazing.
But this guy went out.
Oh.
He
Bad,
jumped a
bad,
whole
bad.
bunch.
Okay, so anyway, here's some water blocks. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
There's
keep
a lot of
talking.
in progress shots. This has been posted elsewhere, and it like existed elsewhere before this. So if you guys have seen this before, sorry, it was never featured before. It was never on our site before. This is just like as he's getting closer and closer to phase
That's
change.
insulation so that the motherboard doesn't die when it's run at sub-ambient temperatures. Very important for any kind of below ambient cooling.
And he blacks it out to make it keep on looking good. He's doing tubing and making sure that he has right spacings for everything. Spacing for phase changes is really hard because it's very large.
GPU temperature minus 73.
That's just so beast.
That's just ridiculous. So that's using, looks like dry ice.
Yeah, dry icing. I believe that's the Titan on there right now.
Wow.
And then, see, I can't exactly tell what that is. Maybe not a Sphinx on top of the phase change cooler.
Oh yeah, it looks like maybe like a panther or something.
Yeah, maybe a panther actually.
Leopard or something like that. But just outstanding build. So I don't know if we ever actually said this forum member's name, but do check out Alatar's post on the forum. It's called My Phase Change Cooled Custom Test Bench System with 3930K Titan. And check it out and do give him your props because that thing is flippin' brilliant. And everyone sitting in the room with me right now thinks so anyway.
Yeah, it's an awesome, awesome machine.
Awesome machine. Just, I mean, okay, totally impractical. Like, it's not like if you guys are like, oh, Linus, I want to build one of those today. Should I do it? I'll be like, no. But for those who have the skill and the know-how and are willing to put the work into it, very, very cool machine. Okay, next we've got our featured news items from the Linus Tech Tips forum. So Mysticode actually, I think, had a couple. but he posted up the new series of Logitech G series peripherals. I'm actually going to go grab them because we just got our shipment of these. So you saw something about them anyway.
I unfortunately actually do not know much about them. What I saw about them was that they were being released. Logitech hasn't been doing a ton lately on the gaming side. So this is really interesting. They're pushing pretty hard. I'm not really sure where I'm like, here we go. They're pushing pretty hard now with the gaming side. They're doing their G series for gaming, which is a little bit interesting because they already had G for gaming, but now it's this like specific G logo, and they've revamped a whole bunch of their products. So Linus is back here with, is this the full suite of products that they're revamping? Okay.
Do you want to switch to, so they can see us again?
I don't know what the button is.
It's function 1. There you go.
Cool.
Okay, so also if you want to, yeah, there we go. So we've got the new Logitech G series here. So this is the, let's start with the entry level one. So there's the G100S, which is an optical ambidextrous small gaming mouse. We haven't unboxed any of these, so I can't unfortunately show you what they look like themselves. The G400S is an optical mouse. So this one, here, hold on. So there's the G100. So it's smaller. Looks like a little something like that. And there we go. We'll unbox it soon. The G400S is a little bit on the larger side, so it's that familiar, slightly, you know what, it's less curved, I think, than, check that out. Is that less curved than like an MX?
It's at an interesting angle.
Yeah, it's at a weird angle, so it's actually kind of hard to see. But it's a right-handed grip, just like the old, when did that start? Did it start with the MX Duo? No, because the MX Duo had a particular...
Yeah.
It was an MX something.
It's been a while.
Can't remember. It's been a long time, but that traditional... I think most people know it as like the G5 shape. So that traditional G5 shape. MX 518. I think there was another MX something or other in there.
There's been a lot.
So there's that traditional shape, and then that's an optical mouse, and then the G500S is a laser gaming mouse that's also using that traditional shape, has some additional buttons, and is just generally a higher end version. So they're using, I think one of the biggest things they're talking about with this is the surface materials. So a lot of people are saying they haven't really changed anything, blah, blah, blah. All they did is change the look. But what they did do is they put a durable, hydrophobic palm surface, dry grip side panels, and fingerprint-resistant button coatings on it, which is actually kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Also, this is an 8200 DPI mouse now. I don't know if the G500 was.
I don't think so, actually.
I don't think so.
That's interesting. I thought they basically just featurized a mouse that they already had, but they might have changed the laser.
Onboard memory profiles now.
Yeah.
Is that new?
Don't think so.
Okay. Low friction feet, braided cable, and button braided up to 20 million clicks. Okay, so the last one we have here is the G19S. So the G19's been their Uber flagship for a while with the full color LCD up at the top for their, whatever they call it, game panel. Game panel is what they call it. So this is a reimagined G19 with their new G series sort of concept going on with the advanced surface materials, up to 5-key rollover, dedicated media control, powered USB ports, all that kind of good stuff. Now, if you were to ask either Slick or myself, bearing in mind that neither of us has actually touched a G19S, I think we'd both agree that the G710 Plus is probably going to trump it. The fact that it has mechanical keys, for me personally, is more important than the LCD screen, but we're going to check it out anyway.
Yeah.
So there you go. Logitech has new peripherals. So a big thanks to, I don't know if I ever actually said who it was who posted that. New ROG, new series. There we go. So that's Mysticode there. Next up, we've got, Corsair announces a fully mechanical backlit K70 keyboard. So the new K70, rather than having some membrane keys, is fully mechanical on every key. So that includes the F keys, these keys here, which on the previous K60 and K90 were not mechanical. It doesn't have macro buttons. It's cherry red switches, which leads us into a bit of an interesting discussion topic. Are people complaining about Twitch? Or not Twitch, about, what's the streaming software we use? Help me. XSplit, wow, brain fart. Someone's saying use OBS. I think XSplit's actually been behaving really well today.
ever since we decided, we were like, we will try a different streaming software. XSplit was like, whoa, sorry, sorry.
Calm down, man. Calm down. Just everybody, just calm down. So the K70 doesn't have macro keys, but it comes in 2 different color schemes. So it's either got that silver plate, and this is one of the things Corsair does really well, is the keyboards are built incredibly rigidly. That thick aluminum backplate is kind of awesome. And then they've also got a black version right here, so that's a black anodized aluminum with a red backlight. So I do wonder a little bit where the market research came from that indicated to Corsair that the majority of gamers prefer red switches, because I would love to see them branch out into more switch types.
Yeah.
Personally, red is at the bottom of my list from the big 4.
Myself as well. This isn't saying like, oh, red's bad. It's just we don't find it.
I'll still use a red over a membrane any day.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
But if in terms, and it's all personal preference.
Yeah.
I personally prefer blues, blacks, and browns to reds, and I personally don't know more than probably 1 or 2 other people who don't agree with me. So I'm just not sure, and I would be really interesting to hear where that came from. Red is used because it's better on the eyes in the dark. We're not talking about the backlight color. We're talking about the Cherry MX switch type. Yeah, so there you go. If someone says, I like my Ducky with reds, okay, all right.
What,
all right.
like we said, it's a preference thing.
Some
We just
people do.
both don't have that preference.
I
That's
just haven't seen much evidence of it, so.
all. Right.
Let's go ahead and do that thing where we find more. Guys, remember, all you got to do to be featured on the live stream is post some cool tech news in the tech news and reviews section on the Linus Tech Tips forum. Who have we got here? Oh, is it Mysticode again? Wow, Mysticode, you're rocking it on the news. We should get him like a little badge or something for being like our news guy.
We both know him.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's I know you don't know this yet. He is what booth was that? Or no, suite. He met us in a suite at
The
CES.
Antec one?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hi. Anyway, so ROG gaming mice from there's an ROG gaming mouse from ASUS. So they're saying supposedly it'll reduce hand fatigue. I actually checked out the link earlier. The shape looks a little bit funny. They're saying it's for hardcore gamers with features like 8200 DPI, adjustable weights, macro programmable keys. It's kind of the usual laundry list of features. I'll be very interested to see what ASUS can contribute in terms of differentiation. And I'm also a little bit, uncertain ASUS is branching out into almost every category so far, but peripherals other than headsets has been one that they haven't really touched yet. And it's cool that you can build a system with all ASUS, and I understand, because a lot of the time it's true, ASUS's mentality tends to be kind of like, why have someone else build it? We can do it better.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time they're right, which is, it's not like it's not like their attitude's going to change if that carries on. But but I gotta wonder who's going to be left to partner with ASUS.
Because you can't partner with them because it's always conflicting.
Because they'll always be competing with everyone. Like when we were looking for sponsors to help us go to CES, we were looking for sponsors that weren't conflicting. So we ended up with Corsair, Seagate, and Linksys. Not one of them, at least at the time, had a single overlapping product. Now Corsair has the Voyager Air and Seagate has the Wireless Plus. There you go. But at the time, they didn't have a single overlapping product, and that makes the other sponsors feel more comfortable. Whereas now, we're not going to be able to have ASUS sponsor anything if we want someone else involved. So, I mean, yeah, they're bosses, but it's just anyway. I'm waiting to see what the software is like because that makes or breaks gaming peripherals these days. We spent some time with the Apex Raw software from SteelSeries' new keyboard, and most gaming software is just buggy. Like gaming peripheral software, is that your experience?
Honestly, I've avoided a lot of it
Like
because
it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the SteelSeries one, you know what? It didn't have like a ton of features. It doesn't turn your hair blonde when you press a particular macro combination.
But it worked.
But it actually worked, and it was responsive and elegant and all of that stuff that we actually appreciate. So let's see how this pans out. I'm looking forward to actually checking out the mouse. I'm a little disappointed to find out that the top surface is brushed aluminum. So unless they have some kind of beastly fingerprint reduction technology going on there, it's going to look really cool for about 10 minutes. And then it'll look like brushed aluminum with stains on it. Okay, look at this. I actually didn't realize that all of our news postings were from Mistacode. So thanks, man. You are a boss. And Noctua has announced free Haswell socket LGA 1150 mounting brackets for existing customers. This is one of the things that makes Noctua so awesome. And I'm not going to dwell on his post too much, but go ahead.
They did it with 2011 as well.
That's exactly where I was going. They actually did it with 2011, they did it with 1366, and they did it with 1156.
Wow.
They give you mounting brackets. When you buy a Noctua cooler, don't actually bother thinking about what it's compatible with because they will take care of it. Noctua is awesome. You guys probably already know, if I was going to be a fanboy of anything, it would be Noctua cooling products because, yeah, they're just awesome.
And like when you get their new kits, it's not just like, oh, I got a Ziploc bag in the mail that has some mounting brackets.
No, it's like a retail package. And like the mounting hardware is like beastly. It's made of like thick laser cut steel.
And it's in like nice custom cut black foam setting. Like it's like really nice, like really premium quality stuff.
Like it feels like you paid for it, but actually you didn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're both kind of into the Noctua.
It's pretty boss. You got crazy tunnel effect.
Yeah, that's okay. I got this.
Okay.
Okay, and then Good Bytes actually did a great job of posting up all the cool stuff that happened with NVIDIA's GTC keynote presentation. So I'm actually looking at it in reverse order, but here's their wave simulation. Here's their new facial simulation. So they've rekajiggered their old Dawn demo, and it looks like it could be a person other than maybe a little bit of unnatural looking lighting. Like it could be a photoshopped person, I guess is where we're at with that. They demoed some hair effects and then some not hair effects. This is faces as well. We're getting so close to the point where we might actually be playing games with what look like actors running around. I mean, look at this.
Yeah,
Unfreaking real. Looks outstanding. I mean,
wow,
look at that smile.
That one's pretty crazy, actually.
Like, it's not perfect. The wrinkles don't look quite right.
But
the forehead, like the
close.
pimple and like the ears aren't quite right. Like there's stuff that's not quite there, but that smile, like it's kind of a goofy smile, but it's a goofy smile you could actually expect someone to make.
Oh yeah.
You could see that smile on someone's face.
That's crazy.
Just outstanding. So showing growth of computing in the CUDA market, which is huge. I didn't even realize Shazam uses GPU acceleration for queries.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. GPU roadmap, so they're talking about their desktop and other GPUs. So what they're doing that's going to be sort of make things different and more better and drive gigaflops up and all of that good stuff. Bearing in mind, guys, this is whatever kind of scale this is. Help me. Is that exponential? That's exponential. No, wait. No, it's not. Yeah, it doubles every time. Yeah, it's an exponential scale here. So just because this looks sort of linear or like it's leveling out, it's actually not at all leveling out. So a linear line here would be exponential growth. Volta with stacked DRAM. Okay, so we're talking about that. Tegra roadmap. So this is a logarithmic scale right here, guys. So we're talking huge increases in performance moving on to the Logan and Parker Tegra processors. Kayla computer, which is like a development thing, was demoed by Jensen. NVIDIA Grid. This one right here is the one that I really want to talk about. So NVIDIA Grid is up to 16 GPUs in a box with, hold on, wait, was it 16 GPUs? I think it was 16 GPUs.
Something absurd.
2 8 cores, 8 grid video cards, each with 2 of the most, 16 GPUs, 16 cores, and up to 192 gigabytes of memory. Look at this backplane right here, where all the PCI Express power goes into. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Look at all these GPUs that are going. So there's two chips per card. So this, whether you guys like it or not, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, I don't know how long down the line, that is what you're going to be gaming on, not on a desktop PC. They are serious about this technology, and it is coming.
You
And
might
it's-
still be on a desktop PC, but it's going to be streaming from that.
Well, yeah, you'll still be on a desktop PC. You'll still be able to have your own awesome peripherals, and you'll probably be able to get better performance, like a better gaming experience. So we don't know how far away it is, but it is coming. And so it's not just for gaming, but it's for any kind of distributed computing workload that is GPU friendly that they're building this for. So they showed things like running on okay, you got to pay like 25 grand for a base one and 40 grand plus a yearly software license for the maxed out one. So it's like serious business. But they were showing demos where they had like just mundane workstations running crazy stuff. They were showing off how this technology could be used to emulate multiple different processors on a network. On multiple, so you could have one grid device, and then you could go like in a LAN cafe. Your premium machines have GTX 680s, and then your next down machines have GTX 560 Ti's.
I don't know when a LAN cafe is going to be paying 40 grand plus 5 grand a month for.
But pricing can only go down.
Right. One
So
thing
what
I worry about.
Okay, go ahead.
One thing I worry about is SimCity wasn't ready for launch. Diablo 3 wasn't ready for launch.
Mm-hmm.
I could just keep going. Nothing seems to be ready for launch.
And the online component seems to be a big part of it.
The online component,
Yes.
the server power, and like this is not when you're running the game there.
Okay, so let's forget wide area network. Let's forget internet for now. In a LAN setting.
LAN setting, this is awesome.
Like, let's talk workstations, okay?
Awesome.
So you put instead of buying Quadros for each individual computer, you get a grid, you deploy Quadro 4000s to every computer in a work area, and then as that grid gets less, current and all that sort of good stuff, and you start replacing it or adding more grids with more up-to-date GPUs, it can just power fewer virtual but more powerful GPUs because you have like this pool of resources that you can allocate to make computing power, and then you can put it wherever you need it to go. It is extremely exciting, and this is definitely the future of what's going to happen at some point. We don't know when, but the fact that they were showing it off, working, holy crap. Because we're already running 10 gigabit LAN here for our editing and rendering PC.
Speaking of which, we're already running 10 gigabit LAN. One thing that this would be cool for is if this technology trickles down. So if at some point it's not insanely expensive, if at some point you can maybe even build your own, it would be very cool to be able to have something like this in your house and just be like, okay, I've got stations all around. I can just sit at this station and be like, yeah, I want this to emulate just the most beast thing ever.
My kid's at his friend's house. He doesn't need his GPU power right now. Or, I mean, by then it'll probably be able to dynamically, just like on demand, provide GPU power.
Everybody's asleep. I want to have the most beast machine ever.
I mean, imagine if NVIDIA decides to make a consumer version, because it's not so different from something like what they're doing with Project Shield.
Yeah.
How different is it than that?
That would support Project Shield
Yes,
really
it
well.
would.
Yeah.
But with a desktop GPU.
This is what I'm saying,
They're
though.
doing it.
They don't even have to trickle down the hardware.
Yeah.
They can just trickle down like the logic processes
Yeah.
and the software. That would be awesome.
So
It'd be
maybe
cool.
it takes 20 years before it reaches the consumer, but that's the thing. Remember, guys, dual core CPUs were completely out of reach to a consumer for years and years and years and years. So this is going to be completely out of reach, maybe for 10 years or 20 years or 25 years.
And then you'll see like
And then
little bits of it. And
the enterprise always trickles down.
yeah.
And there will always be an enthusiast option. So don't quote me on this, but I'd be super stoked to see Grid reach the home.
If
I would do a home Grid.
I will basically protest and riot against like streaming games down to my computer.
Tell me something.
But wait. But Grid at home is awesome. And if I had a super powerful machine and like my brother came over and I
Yeah.
could like help push from my machine to his and like
Yeah.
little stuff like that would be so cool.
Like if he could just bring over a Raspberry Pi and a set of peripherals,
And I could just like power it, that would be like sweet. Like that would be really cool.
okay, I know I often ask you this question and you always beat around the bush because you're so cheap. How much would you pay, hold on, for a Grid device that basically makes it so none of the other all the other computers in your house. So you're running 10 gigabit, let's say minimum. You're running a 10 gigabit backbone in your house for your network. So you saw on 10 gigabit, even using the horribly optimized remote desktop connection, I was playing back video on remote desktop connection smoothly. Like it was ridiculous. I've never seen that before. So if you're running 10 gigabit everywhere, how much would you pay for a device? Let's say you've got a wife and 2 kids, hypothetically. Everyone's got a computer and one of the kids is a gamer and your wife plays MMOs, or, you know, like sort of typical household, let's say. How much would you pay for a grid that makes it so all of them could just use Raspberry Pis? Assuming a life cycle of maybe it'll be good enough to be high-end computers in the whole house for 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
How much do you
Not
pay?
beating around the bush, I'm going to try and give you a number, but one quick second. One problem with that little scenario is you've got 3 or 4 people there, right?
Mhm.
Like 3 to 4 people-ish.
Yeah.
We were playing one video to one computer off of one computer
On 10 gig?
on 10 gig.
Yeah, but by then it might be 100 gig, who knows?
Yeah, but I'm
But
just saying with the 10 gig scenario.
the network backbone is good enough.
So no issues with network backbone.
Fiber in the house.
You've got something stupid,
Yeah,
something crazy.
it's fiber.
Okay, so
Okay.
just the machine. I don't know, because if it's only going to be awesome for 2 years, like if I'm
But
going to
it'll be
go,
less awesome. And you'll probably rack mount another grid into your house.
if you can just link them,
Well, that's what they're doing. So it's just a resource pool. You just keep adding more grids.
2 or 3,
2 or 3 what?
okay,
That's it?
probably.
How much does your computer cost alone?
But I'm thinking about this in the way that, okay, my kid's computer's probably not going to cost that much. My wife's computer probably isn't going to cost that much.
Okay.
My computer, okay, maybe more than 2 or 3.
Plus,
But this sucks too because it's one gigantic investment.
it's one gigantic
That's
investment.
hard.
But it's one gigantic investment that you can use to beam games to your smartphone, to your media PC,
Yeah, that's awesome.
to your gaming desktop,
That's awesome,
to your buddy's gaming
But it
desktop.
also puts it above a possible price bracket of a lot of people because it's one big investment.
And
Unless,
by then, I'm sure there'll be a payment plan.
I was just going to say, they're going to have to come up with some financing
You can
thing.
lease it.
Yeah.
You can probably lease it.
Lease it or
Like
rent
if you
to own.
leased or rented to own, and you could, I mean, let's say you could beam stuff. I mean, let's say by then, wireless technology is at the point where you can, I mean, you can already do HD wirelessly, sort of. I mean, it's not
Sort of.
quite perfect,
Yeah, yeah.
but let's say, you know, it can power all that crap plus, who knows?
See,
Sky's the
this is
limit.
really interesting because
And your internet might be Google Fiber by then.
so it's
So
actually
you could actually beam your GPU power to yourself somewhere else.
at least at a certain
At,
degree.
like 720p or whatever, at like something.
This is exactly what I want this to become. I don't know what I'd pay for it, but you could probably convince me to pay a fair amount.
Okay.
Because home server has always been something that's been really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Your own power in your own house, just completely beast. That is what I would really, really like to do.
Okay, so then I'm going to take it one step further. And why wouldn't you pay a monthly fee to have a rack in a data center that has your grid in it?
I like having control of everything.
Okay.
Rack in a data center, if it's mine,
Yeah.
if it is completely mine,
Yeah.
I don't want this hosted by Google because if it's hosted by Google, it's not completely mine.
Okay.
Like
So
I
that's
mean,
where you
like
draw the
serious
line. You
business
have to
completely
own it.
mine. Yeah, I have to own it.
Okay.
I still like having everything local because if something goes wrong, I like being able to tinker with it. And if I'm on a LAN, oh, my voice is getting a little bit messed up. Sorry guys, I am really sick. If I'm on a LAN, I'm not really that worried about like losing internet connection randomly like our forum does. But like, I don't know. I like being able to be physical with things. I like being able to take things apart. I like being able to
I
work
like
with
that
things.
too.
I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, I like being able to tinker with things. So
Okay.
I don't know. I would still like it on site. But if there was an awesome option to get my own thing that I have complete 100% control over, that I can host in, say, a data center, then I might look into it. That would be interesting.
Okay. So you're not opposed to the idea of distributed network gaming?
I'm opposed to not having control of it.
I see. Okay. Okay. Well,
And like, okay, you still have the problems. Like, it will only be applicable when it's insanely fast.
And it will be.
So,
It's
but-
already insanely fast.
But network backbone. And you need
Okay, the
network
network has
backbone
to be.
across the planet. You can't have network backbone in a city.
It'll
Because you're
happen.
going to be playing, oh, I know, but this is going to be a long time. Like, I don't even think the next 10, 15 years.
On the other hand, look at what's changed in the last 15 years.
I agree, but there's still places with terrible internet. And if I want to play with some of my mods in Australia, oh,
Okay.
Skype calls lag.
Okay, that's true.
Like, there's a lot. There's VoIP in the game.
But
there's the
then
game
Look
in
at
general.
but look at what we had 15 years ago. Remember, 15
Yeah.
years ago was 1998.
Yeah,
Okay? Like,
but look how reluctant people are to replace their lines.
yes, but they're
Unless
also
Google
finding
goes literally everywhere.
they're finding that well, Google might.
They might.
Like,
they could.
Let's
but they're
not
gonna,
write that off as
Yeah,
an
no, I know.
impossibility.
Definitely. They could go everywhere, but they like that in my opinion that might even be what has to happen. Is Google might have to be the ISP for the planet at that point. Which is
Kind of terrifying, actually.
yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's pretty much it. I had one more thing I wanted to mention. Apparently, Reddit is going to start allowing you to downvote ads that you don't want to see again. So that's an interesting thing.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like falls in line with the Reddit concept overall. That was
Yeah.
an article on The Verge today. Also, I'm caught up on Adventure Time now. So since we last talked about it and how I said it was indefensible to watch it, I'm not going to defend myself. It's a stupid show, but I have finished all of it now.
It's entertaining though.
Yeah,
It's fun to like I said last time, I don't actually just sit there and watch it. Like,
indefensible.
I'm doing something else.
No, that's not a good defense.
Whatever, man.
Do you have anything else left?
Google Glass being banned.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
So there's I think it's a bar. I don't remember what it's called. It could just be, I don't even know. But there's a place down in the States, some type of restaurant of some sort, that has banned Google Glass. That made insane kerfuffle everywhere. Everybody went nuts. A whole bunch of people are banning it now because basically you can take pictures, you can take video, you can do whatever all on the fly. And in a lot of different places, if you walked in with a video camera, they would be like, hey man, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
So the idea
We've
is...
actually run into that before.
we have. So the idea is we don't want you having a video camera filming everyone in our establishment. So we don't want you to have Google Glass filming everyone in our establishment.
Yeah.
So tons of people are banning Google Glass, and I
'Cause
think it's interesting.
It's a liability problem.
It's a liability problem. It's a privacy problem.
There's a lot of problems, and the world is changing. Privacy is disappearing, and I mean, you know,
privacy is
there's,
disappearing, but where there is privacy, it's becoming valuable and treasured and protected.
and not protected well enough.
Not protected well enough. Exactly.
It's eroding every day.
Yeah.
Every single day it erodes more, and you know what? It's a generational difference in perception of privacy. I mean, I was just utterly baffled the first time I saw someone posting their driver's license on Facebook. I was like,
What
are
you doing, man?
I was like, are you special? Because that's the dumbest thing in the world.
And like we've had problems where we and like honestly though, we push out so much content.
It's hard to not.
We're gonna
give away
have
anything.
some weird mistake that we didn't mean to be there. Something was in the wrong place. We didn't realize it said something on it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But like those are not on purpose, and hopefully people just ignore them. I don't know.
But at the end of the day, like it was everything. So it was. I mean, did you hear about the exploit where Apple IDs were being compromised if someone knew something in your birthday? Like that was it. So anyone who posted their driver's license on Facebook, if you knew their Apple ID and their birthday, you could compromise their account.
Holy crap.
Yeah, no, it was like unbelievable. Apple pulled down their.
You could almost get away with identity theft at that point.
Yeah.
Because if you break into their Apple account, you can figure out all their general information, and then you've got their driver's license.
And you've got their driver's license. And so the first time I saw that, I was just blown away. But it's a completely different mentality because kids are growing up connected.
Yeah.
I grew up where not everything had a network chip in it.
Yeah.
My
Your
son
fridge.
is going to grow up in a world where everything he looks at is capable of communicating with something else. He will take it for granted that everything just communicates with everything else. And no matter what groups are fighting against it and pushing back, it's like having like some dudes in like, grass skirts pushing against like,
The tank.
um, no, I was thinking what's with the ice thing, glacier, like pushing against a glacier. It's like,
Okay.
they're in grass skirts because it's still warm where they are, but the glacier's coming.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
I got it.
That's the image I was going for.
You got there. You made it.
I made it.
Good job.
Slowly. But that's what's happening, and I don't actually. I mean, it's like it's all fine and good to say, oh well, Linus, you could be part of the solution, not part of the problem. You know what? I actually don't think I can. I don't think there is a solution to this. I think it's just going to happen.
I fight for it because I try and help delay it.
And you have to protect your individual self
Yeah.
as much as you can. But
It's part of the reason why I don't have Facebook anymore.
the masses dictate what happens, and so we'll see what goes on.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm kind of tired. It's after 11. We went for 2 hours today, so thank you guys so much for tuning into the live stream, and I will see you again next time, unless you have something else you wanted to discuss.
I've got the Elder Scrolls Online thing, but that's real long.
Oh boy. I don't know. You're welcome to keep going, but I'm gonna go sleep. I was up till like 5 a.m. last night getting everything launched, and then had to go in and shoot NCIX Tech Tips today, so it's been kind of a long day.
I don't mind continuing, but I am only going to talk about Elder Scrolls Online. So,
Okay.
if people aren't interested in Elder Scrolls Online,
Yeah, and watch them all just leave, and then you can just end the live stream.
that would work. If none of you are interested in Elder Scrolls Online and you all leave, I can see the viewer count. I can just go to bed. I don't have a problem with that. That's okay.
So get started. Whoops.
Everything's fine.
Everything's okay? Okay, I just hit the
Everything's
table pretty hard there.
Okay, so this is going to be very long-winded, and I'm going to jump all over the place because I didn't have enough time to actually sort these notes. So these are just notes that I've taken for a long time. Elder Scrolls Online. People have been asking about the combat system a lot. One thing they're trying to break away from is a rotation of combat. So auto attacks, things being on very specified cooldowns so that you have a certain weave of spells that just make sense and you're always going to do exactly that is being done away with. You tap left click for a swing or left click for fire. So if you have a ranged attack or a spell or a sword or whatever, it's just your general thing is left click. Holding left click is to charge, so spells you can charge it up a little bit. With weapons you kind of take a bigger swing and do more damage. And holding right click is for block, so it's all active. At the same time, if you double tap a direction, you will dodge in that direction. So a lot of like spells and whatnot you can see coming, you can dodge. But it's a 5-slot active 5-slot action bar, so it's gonna be a little bit hard to talk because I am pretty sick. My throat is a little bit messed up. 5-slot action bar for skills, 1 quick slot for consumables, 1 slot for an ultimate, 1 slot somewhere for a costume, and 1 slot somewhere for switching weapons. Costume isn't like, oh, I'm now something random. Okay, that's not a very good description. I don't mean costume as in just a random thing that you wear. It is pretty specific. You will loot a costume. Say you're fighting a whole bunch of pirates. You will loot a pirate costume. You can then put on the pirate costume, and pirates will refrain from attacking you. That is the idea. It'll help you get by them. It'll help you avoid combat. It can also be used for role-playing situations. So if you want to go wear that pirate costume in town, you can do that.
Can I wear leopard print in town?
If there's I don't think leopards would drop a leopard costume.
They wouldn't?
I don't think so.
Yeah, but you could get
Unless you put on the leopard
crafting
costume
skills.
and you start like running like a leopard on all fours.
crafting skills,
Crafting skills.
Yeah.
I don't think there's leopard costumes, but anyways, there's a costume slot that adds a pretty interesting dynamic to the game. Enemies will behave differently based on yourself and the people you're with, and themselves and the people they are with. So they will attack in synergy. So they will attack different people in your party depending on things more than just the general threat mechanic that we've seen in a lot of games. They will attack based on combos that they're doing. They will attack based on tons of stuff. So, for example, if a foot soldier runs up to you, he could throw like an oil pool down and then yell, "Light it up," which is actually an exact quote from the game. Foot soldier does throw down an oil slick and does say "light it up." and then a fire mage will cast a fire spell on it, and it'll just turn into a crazy inferno and do tons of damage. Because it is a synergetic combo spell, it will do more damage than normal, but you can see the oil slick go down. You have time to move. Another interesting thing, you can do that. If you have a physical type person, you can do something like throw down an oil slick, and your mage destruction type character can light it up. There's obviously tons of other combos. That's just a really simple, really easy example. At the same time, things like ultimates can be affected in the same way. So if someone casts a spell like a Nova, if a teammate runs into the center and activates something, it converts the spell entirely into a supernova. So it becomes like a very advanced version of that spell, does more damage, more range, everything. Just makes it a lot better. On release, the game will have 16 dungeons. That is for the 16 different mini territories that are within the land of Tamriel. When you hit max level, all of those dungeons are ramped up to a max level style. Speaking of max level, there is 3 main factions. When you hit max level within that faction, they're saying that's somewhere around 120 hours of gameplay. When you hit max level, you will be able to then do the storyline at a way higher difficulty, so a level 50 difficulty. Max level's 50, by the way. Sorry, again, kind of hard to talk. So you can do the quests of a different faction at a level 50 difficulty, and the only people you will run in while doing that, the only people you run into while doing that are the people from your own faction. So you do the quest for another faction, but you're only questing with your own faction. That's to save face on PvP aspects of the game. So you get another 120 hours of gameplay there, and it's at an advanced difficulty, like I said. Once you're done that, you can then do the next faction's quest, which is at an even higher level of difficulty, another 120 hours worth of gameplay. This is all like solo or duo kind of questing gameplay. So that's 360 hours of solo duo level gameplay. So if you're coming from an Elder Scrolls fan aspect going, I don't really like the MMO style of things, I want to play an Elder Scrolls game, that's 360 hours of content of just Elder Scrolls game aspects. So that's still pretty freaking awesome. I have tons of more things, just give me a small moment. Upon leveling up, you will be able to have 1 point that you put into health, stamina, or magicka. In earlier release talks of the game, that would affect many things like your running speed, jump, whatnot. Now it does not at all. It is just health, stamina, or magicka.
Ah!
Jesus Christ. What was that?
They told me to prank you.
Oh, I have a plan. God, that actually got me like crazy. That totally set me off. I was not expecting that at all. You've never done a like scream thing at me in the entire time I've known you.
A scream thing? What's a scream
Like trying
thing?
to startle me. You've
Oh.
never tried to startle me.
Oh no, I'm big into startling people.
You've never done it before.
Yeah, but it's if people expect it, then it's no good.
Is it because I'm large?
No?
Oh, okay.
No, if people expect it, it's just not fun. So you have to, you have to only do it when it's not
I was in
expected.
the zone. I was going through. Oh man. Okay. I gotta
Twitch
jump
chat's
back
like
into this.
exploding.
That got me pretty good. Okay.
That's great.
What was I even talking about? Okay, health, stamina, magicka. So you can put points in there. Blah blah blah. Blah. I'm gonna catch up to where I was. Are you going to bed or something now?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the only reason I was still there.
Just totally throws me off and then leaves. What a jerk. Okay, so health, stamina, and magicka. Like I said, those no longer affect other things, but every single time you get a level up, you also gain a point to put into an ability. These abilities are active or passive abilities. You can unlock these abilities to have the option to be able to put in a point into it when you level up by using those actions. So say you're a destruction caster, you would then cast spells in the destruction spell tree, and then you would level up that tree and then be able to put points into it to unlock active and passive abilities. Now I'm all freaked out thinking he's going to jump at me again. Yeah, so abilities are unlocked by using weapons. If you're a fan of the Elder Scrolls series, you'll know that while there is classes, things are very dynamic and you can spread out. If you start as, say, a mage, you could immediately upon looting the item or weapon or buying the item or weapon, start using not your destructive staff, but using a sword, say. As you use your sword, you would then level up your sword ability. You could start wearing heavier armor. You could start doing whatever and really, really spreading out, and that's okay. You can get all of the abilities in the game as any class other than the class-specific abilities. Let me check this for one quick second. There we go. There's 15 different skill lines that will be available on launch. They are planning on releasing more. Okay, I'm just trying to find which ones are actually included in launch. Classes that have been currently announced are... Oh, crap. Sorry, one second. Right, okay, I'm going to jump back a little bit. When you start the game, there's three skill sections open, which is class, weapon, and armor. Weapon will contain things like... weapon skills will include two-handed, hand and shield, dual wield, bow, destruction staff, and restoration staff. So that's like one section which contains a whole bunch of different spread-offs. And as you use those different weapons, like I said earlier, you will unlock different passive and active abilities. If you are a, say, sorcerer class, your class tree will have things like dark magic, Daedric summoning, and storm calling. So you can specialize in those little subjects along the way. And those are the only things that are unique to your class. So if you're a healer, you can still use a two-handed sword and plate armor and be crazy, but you can't have Daedric summoning because that's the sorcerer's class-specific stuff. So while you can still spread into all the other 14 skill lines that are currently available, class is specific to your class. So it's not quite as open as some other Elder Scrolls games, but it is still very open and much less restricted than most MMOs. Other skill lines that are not available upon first starting the game.
You know what ticks me off about some MMOs or even like RPGs where they have like an RPG character building element? The thing that drives me crazy is when they actually just have an actual linear progression. Where it'll just be like grayed out at the beginning of the game, and it'll be like, here's the stuff you get when you play more. That drives me crazy. Yeah,
that's what I really, really like about the Elder Scrolls games, is it's very much your own experience. And they're trying to stay true to that. Of course, they are giving a little bit of leeways because it is an MMO. They need to make some changes, but I think they're making some of the right changes, personally. Maybe not all the right changes, that's up to you, but I still have a lot to go through. Again, this is all I'm going to be doing for the rest of the stream, so if you're not into Elder Scrolls Online, and it looks like quite a few of you weren't, there's no point in continuing watching. Skills, as you use them, will drain from different resources, so it's not just one resource like a lot of games are. Magical abilities will obviously take from your magicka or mana. It's magicka in the Elder Scrolls, but I'm saying mana because most people would understand that. But martial abilities, sprinting, stealth, all that kind of stuff will take from stamina. So there's actually two different pools that you can take from when using skills. I said you can unlock all the skills in the game. That is very true. You can get every single ability in your class tree. You can get every single ability in all other trees all at once. Leveling up to 50 is not the only way to unlock skills. You can also collect things called sky shards. Once you get 3 sky shards, you can cash those in for an ability. So once you hit 50, the game is really not over because you will probably not have a vast majority of your abilities. So you have to go out there, find sky shards. You can go out there, finish the other faction quests. And I think factions might even have their own little class trees. More skill lines that are available. I was trying to say this earlier. More skill lines that are available not at just level 1, but that you will unlock later. The ones announced so far are World, Guild, and AVA, or Alliance versus Alliance. World will include things like vampirism, which has been announced, and I'm assuming lycanthropy, although that hasn't been confirmed. That's just an assumption by me. Guild will include things like Mages and Fighters Guild. Thief and Assassin's Guild are being worked on, but will not be in launch. So they are being worked on for either a patch or an expansion or something in the future. Alliance versus Alliance will include things like siege weapons, and other than that, I do not know. Classes that have been announced. Do I have this somewhere easily accessible? I know there's like Dragon Knight or Dragon Warrior and a few other things. I'll try and find classes in a second. Finesse. Very cool. So they will award additional loot and additional experience depending on the finesse of your kill. This has been noted to be kind of difficult to do early on because things will die before you can actually achieve a finesse kill. So finesse is awarded for dodging attacks, blocking attacks, interrupting spells, and countering attacks. So if you do any of this, when you kill the guy, you'll see a little F beside the experience that you get, and you'll get more experience and more loot. So that's actually cool because it rewards effective, good play. Which is cool, you level up faster, get more gear, that's all good. Mounts are in the game. Housing is not currently planned, and I don't think they have I don't think they're going to do housing at any point in time. Destruction and restoration trees are fully implemented. Other classic, the other schools of magic are in the game, but only in the game in some form. They're not fully fleshed out trees. Healing spells are AoE or cone. They are not specific for a target. Sorry, my throat's getting pretty raw. So you don't just click on an ally and heal them. You're healing either in an area around you or a cone in front of you. Racial crafting styles do exist, so you can make orcish or elvish armor. This is a trend in the Elder Scrolls. And you can learn the crafting styles of other cultures. So if you start off crafting, you'll likely only have your own, but you can learn it over time from other cultures at the same time. No dye system is currently in the game. I don't mean dying as in death. I mean dying as in changing the color of your armor and weapons. Lua add-on support is supported in the game, so we will see add-ons in the game, which is very cool. Depending on who you are, I think it's very cool. At level 16 is when you get your weapon swap ability. I mentioned this earlier. So if you're using a restoration staff and healing your buddy, but then you kill kind of most of the stuff that was threatening him and he's not really taking that much damage anymore, you can switch weapons to a greatsword or something, and your whole action bar will change over to a pre-done set that you have for that greatsword. So in the middle of combat, you can completely change what you're doing. This is where the cool, well-rounded aspect of the Elder Scrolls comes in. Because as you know, it's not a single-player game anymore, it's multiplayer. So you can't just pause the game and swap out your whole gear set like you do in a single-player game. So they had to try and come up with some way that you can dynamically change what you're doing in the middle of combat. That became the weapon swap. So you swap out your weapon and everything changes, which is actually really, really cool. There we are, the classes I was trying to say earlier. The classes that are leaked out so far are Templar, Sorcerer, Dragon Knight, and Nightblade. Now, Nightblade was kind of accidentally announced. I don't know if that's official. That was just kind of said once during an interview, so I'm not so sure about that. But Templar, Sorcerer, and Dragon Knight are very officially announced. Sorry. There might be more classes specifically announced at PAX East, but I haven't gotten any information about PAX East yet. This is all within the last week, so this is very current. In Alliance versus Alliance battles, you can siege castles, which is pretty awesome. Castles and forts and whatnot. The walls will take dynamic damage, so if you hit it with a siege weapon, it will impact and damage the wall, which is really cool. Things like boiling oil can be used, and you can pour it down on the guys that are trying to get in your gates. This stuff is awesome. Like I said, siege weapons. There's siege weapons. You can get skills in them. The castle fights are supposed to actually be epic. A lot of people have said this in the past, though. I'm a little bit reluctant to get excited, but people that have played the game, there's a lot of game reviewers that were able to go down to their studios and play the game there. People that have played the game have said that it's awesome. So still a little bit reluctant because there's been tons of games that have said that Castle Siege battles were going to be awesome and they weren't. But yeah, could be great, not entirely sure. They've been quoted multiple times saying stuff like, not a ton of numbers or crazy calculated DPS will be in the game. You don't need to see plus 50 over guys' heads as you hit them or heal them. Numbers are not Elder Scrolls. In this way, we are making an RPG instead of a calculated MMO. So what I'm assuming is they're not going to have graphical damage. They're not going to have a very easy way to figure out the exact damage numbers that you're doing. They'll probably just have health bars, and you'll see with each hit how much health bar goes down. That's kind of interesting for me for boss fights, because you won't necessarily be able to know how much damage each person is doing. So it makes competitive rating a little bit interesting. Let me jump through this a little bit. I don't know if anything in the Elder Scrolls is as a lot of people might know, I'm a pretty big fan of the Elder Scrolls, and I'm pretty excited for Elder Scrolls Online, or else I probably wouldn't be doing this. But I don't know if anything is like absolutely groundbreaking or incredibly innovative. They've done things that were kind of expected and things that were asked for, which is awesome. They have listened to fans. Not that long ago, they released gameplay footage and they talked about it only really having third-person view. People kind of freaked out and were like, that's not really Elder Scrolls, man. I want to go into first person. I want to swing both my weapons and see everything moving. I want it dynamic combat in first person. So they said, okay, but we're going to do it right. So they decided not to just have a scroll-enable first person where randomly there's hands in front of you and you go like this. The game is going to be built around at least the PvE aspects, not so much PvP, because that's impossible. But the game is going to be built around, like, say, a boss. If the boss is going to do an action, you should be able to figure out that he's doing it in first person. You're supposed to be able to play the game fully in first person, so you should know about AoE effects and whatnot. They haven't really said exactly how this works yet, and as far as I know, they're still working on it. But it's awesome that they were like, okay, you know what, you're right. That wasn't very Elder Scrolls, we're gonna fix this. So they are working very hard on making a very good version of first person, not just graphical textures of hands in front of a blank screen. So that is very cool. Is there anything I missed? Let me see, 1 second. I went pretty quick, actually, so I think that's kind of everything. I might have missed more stuff. Like I said, I'm going to make a thread about this on the forum, so I talked really fast. If you missed stuff, I will try and make a thread about it on the forum. I think that's it for the stream. Do you have anything else left to say? He's done. I'm signing off because I want to go home and go to bed. Have a good one, guys.